right, good evening, everyone, and welcome out to Speed Racing Network, where we present the Xfinity Series. This is week number 9 here at Phoenix Raceway, the Hot Track. I'm Sean Griffith. I'm here with my buddy, Dean Brummett. Dean, how's it going tonight, brother?
Going good, Sean. Everything's going awesome, man. Had some nice hotel accommodations after broadcasting last night, ready to come back and do it again this evening for you.
Well, I'm surprised you even got any sleep at all as long as that race went last night, and hopefully these drivers have figured out what the heck to do with this track.
Sean, I don't mean to alarm you, sir, but I believe caution just came out on the speedway.
It would not shock me one bit. That's pretty much how this entire night is planning on going. There are actually Vegas bets out there right now on how many cautions we're going to have tonight. I put in for 16.
I'm going to go a little more conservative, Sean. I'm going to say I'm going to give these guys the benefit of the doubt. I'm going to say 9.
Well, last night, in case you guys missed it, we had a race that was 125 laps, 125 miles. This is a short track after all, but we had 20 cautions. Now, just to put that into perspective, the record for the most cautions in a NASCAR race in history was 22 at a 600-mile race. We only went 125 miles, and we went 20 cautions. That's insane.
Pace car driver definitely made his money worth last night, Sean, and it was an interesting race. A lot of what I expected to see when we did get our green flag racing in, but with these Xfinity Series guys tonight, a little more experience under their belts, I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt, and I think we're going to see some green flag racing here.
Man, I certainly hope so, because I really do enjoy this track with the infamous dog leg out there. Makes for some really fun lines, makes for some really good racing off of turns 3 and 4.
Yeah, it's definitely an interesting style of track here, Sean. I love this track. It's one of the more unique ones that we go to on our Speed Racing Network Xfinity Series schedule here, which is going to be 20 weeks. We're going to run fixed setups, which means everybody has the exact same type of car underneath them. There may be different paint schemes and different manufacturers, but everybody's got the exact same setup. So if they're a little slick, everyone's slick. If they're a little tight, everyone's tight. And fortunately, like you said, last night we had a lot of cautions, but everybody had 2 fast repairs. Tonight you got to be a little more conservative with just your 1. These guys each tonight paid $10 to get into this race, and that's what they pay each and every week. And in doing so, Sean, we have weekly and season payouts, $500 to our champion at the end of the season, and then we have a 5-person team championship that they are going to earn $200 as a team.
Absolutely. So much money going on this season. We have $15,000 is what we're projected to give out just this season. So in 20 weeks, we're giving out $15,000. And so just a ton of money on the line. And because of that, sometimes things get a little heated, and heat is no stranger to Phoenix Raceway.
No, Sean. Last night the track actually cooled down a little bit as the race went on, but I think tonight you're going to have a lot more green flag racing to be able to go through and be able to put heat in these tires. And when we talk about green flag laps, Sean, one thing that is green is the payouts that we have here in this. First place tonight's going to win $50 and an entry into our Cup Series race Sunday night, racing against the best of the best that Speed Racing Network has to offer. Second place is going to pull $30. Third place will pull $20. Fourth place will pull $15, and then 5th and 6th place tonight will get their entry fees back.
Yeah, a lot of money out there on the track, but that all-important entry into the Cup Series race, that's something that a lot of people really desperately want so they can prove themselves on a higher level.
Yes, Sean. I had the very distinct benefit last year of having you as an owner for Mid-South Madness for my car, and it was awesome to drive those Xfinity Series cars, but nothing really quite hit quite like going into this particular season and being able to go through and run those Cup cars and just the sheer level of competition that we have there on Sunday nights. And like I said, for whoever's going to win this one this evening, they get to go in there into the den of the wolves, so to speak.
Yeah, and again, you were talking a little bit earlier about the season-long payouts brought to you by Griffith CPA firm. First place on the season gets 500 big ones.
Yeah, Sean, $500, and it spins real awesome there, man. Last year, Bobby Brill managed to edge me out in this championship to win that big $500, and came home in second place. This year, second's paying $300, third place is paying $200, fourth place paying $150, and fifth place paying $100. And then, like we said, we've also got that team championship. So I mean, right there, you look at it, you've got close to $1,500 in just seasonal payout money right there.
Yeah, just tons of stuff going on here. And not only that, but we're giving out prizes as well. So Butt Kicker has been extremely helpful for us. They have come out and they have said that for the cleanest driver in each series, they are going to award them a free Butt Kicker.
Yeah, Sean, I don't think anybody is going to win that award based off of last night's race. I think every truck had at least 3 or 4 X's to it. I think by the end of that one, it was more along the lines of who had the least damage. But for those of you who don't know what a butt kicker is, it's an apparatus that attaches to your sim racing rig to kind of give you a more real-life feel besides just sitting behind a screen with a steering wheel in your hand. It gives you some motion control. You get to feel some of the bumps, some of the movement, everything. And like I said, if you were one of those guys last night in the truck series who just didn't have the best of races, you can always use our discount code SRNVS20 for 20% off your order at buttkicker.com.
Yeah, man, those butt kickers, they can you can feel it when those tires are coming out from underneath you. You can feel it when somebody bumps into the back of you and just starts you spinning a little bit.
Yeah, and that can be the difference in saving a loose race car or going through and collecting someone else there, Sean. You know, we get a little bit of feel to what the car's doing in our hands, but just to be able to feel it underneath us is going to be a world of difference.
Now, next up, we got Kane Cook and his sim coaching. And if you don't know who Kane Cook is, then you really haven't known iRacing that well, because he's pretty well known out there for one thing, and that's being a hard charger.
Yeah, Sean, and a hard charger is a hard thing to be anyway. Most of the time, you got guys like myself and so many others that we want to start up front each and every week. And Kane has just made a name for himself, kind of starting from the back in these races and slowly picking his way to the front. And I mean, he's done it well enough to have an I rating of 74-14 and make it all the way to the highest level of sim racing, which is the the NASCAR Coca-Cola Series. So he's definitely a great person to get some advice from in terms of trying to make sure that you got your lines down pat, you got your braking. There's just so much that you can learn in one of these Kane Cook sessions.
Yeah, just a stellar driver. He took 5th last week. I didn't get a chance to see how he did this week, unfortunately.
Yeah, didn't get a chance to either, but if history repeats itself, I'd imagine he probably had himself a very, very good evening in the Coke Series.
Well, speaking of good evenings, last week Greg Joyner didn't really have the greatest evening. He ended up in 24th in that race, but that was enough for him to take over first place in our individual standings.
Yeah, Sean, these standings this season, it has just been an absolute blast to kind of watch these guys battle tooth and nail each and every week. Up front, like you said, you got Greg Joyner from Bronco Motorsports leading by 2 points over Zachary Taylor. You got Ryan Ducombe there in 3rd from H2K Motorsports. Bo Tiffany in 4th from the home team, Team SRN. Jovi Sagaped, who I've actually gotten to know a little bit better over the last couple weeks, Sean, and he's sitting there 5th. And Aaron Gerwitz from Revved Racing, Mike Lepicki in 7th from Tank, Marshall Stanley running my number 25, had the audacity to take my number. No, it's cool. He actually told me that he ran that number, Sean, out of sheer respect for me. So it meant a lot coming from someone like Marshall. And you got the 33 of Devin Zimmerman there in 9th from Tank Racing, Daniel Bowdler coming in for R&D Motorsports in 10th, Stan Hausman from Team SRN in 11th, Josh Marcy from H2K Motorsports, Brad Williams from Bronco Motorsports. Those two are tied there for 12th and 13th, and Nathaniel Mon in 14th. And rounding out our top 15 is Emerson Ardon from Tank Racing.
Yeah, just tons and tons of talent up here. A few things to point out here. There are 4 drivers for Tank Racing in this top 15. But look at Bronco Motorsports. They've got 3 drivers in there. Rev Racing has a few drivers in there. I mean, there's just so many team drivers in there. It's almost like you have to have that team in order to get to where you want to be.
Yeah, Sean, it's a lot easier to go through and do it as a team versus trying to do it as yourself. The joy of Rowell Smith racing that I have on Sunday nights is you have so many different disciplines of racing. Jake Rowell, who's running this evening, is a great 1.5-mile driver. You have Jacob Smith, who's a great road course racer. You learn so much from these guys going throughout the season, and with a 20-week season like this, it really helps.
Oh, yeah, it does. It's just tons and tons of great talent out there. And even on the other side of the coin, where you're not quite in the playoffs right now, but look at the names on this list. Rhett Tucker, if he's not in the top 15, what is going on here? You got Derek DeSilva down there in 25th, who's a great driver. You've got so many great drivers in this league. Greg Olenek there in 20th position. Mike Lamenti, or in 19th. Mike Lamenti in 19th as well. So, talent everywhere.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And, right here being outside the cut, you've got a few weeks left until we hit our playoff races. And, you see how close the gap is. That's less than a race. One bad race could put you in one, or put you out and somebody else in. And I'll tell you here, Sean, you've had a couple of these guys like Greg Olenek, who's just had some of the worst luck that I've seen this season. And, I think you take a guy like that, you really start to get him on a roll. And he could wind up making these playoffs very easily. Same goes for that 18th car, Nicholas Gowan.
Oh, yeah, just all sorts of people there. But let's take a look at these team championship standings, because there's been a change here as well. Bronco Motorsports taking over the top spot by 1 point.
Yeah, 1 point, Sean, is all that it takes. I don't care if you win by 1 or 1 million. That's all that it takes is 1. As we go through our Tropical Smoothie Team Championship, Bronco Motorsports in first. Tank Racing dropped out of that number 1 spot, even with 2 wins last week. Then you have a newly updated team. We've got the name change here for Rowell Smith Racing. They're in third with 2 wins. Rev'd Racing is in fourth with 1 win. Team SRN's there in fifth. R2D2 Motorsports is in sixth, and rounding out that team championship, just a little bit of a rough season for R&D Motorsports.
Yeah, and you'll see why here shortly. They only have 3 members on the team, so kind of tough to do that. But those top 3 teams are really fighting for this thing. And Rowell Smith Racing coming in and kind of taking over for H2K Motorsports. When you have a Jake Rowell and a Jacob Smith involved, and even this guy named Dean Brummett, who's on Rowell Smith Racing as well, you've got a lot of talent there that can teach these younger drivers how to really do it.
Yeah, Sean, and like I said, a lot of it just comes from sheer experience ourselves. I've been involved in iRacing for, it's hard to believe, but close to a decade now. And, it's only been recently I've begun to learn a lot of the tools of the trade, and it's just a matter of the right personnel at the right place and the right time.
Yes, it is. And so let's take a look at each of these teams individually with our Tropical Smoothie team introductions. And Tropical Smoothie, remember, eat better, feel better. And let's start off with the leaders right now, the Bronco Motorsports. And again, their leader up there, Greg Joyner, who leads the individual standings. No wins for this team yet, but that just proves how consistent they are.
Bronco Motorsports is one of those teams, Sean, that each and every week they can wind up winning a race, whether it be Rhett Tucker, Nathaniel Mon, Gregory Joyner, Nick Gowan, or Brad Williams. We've seen every one of these guys up front at some point in time, and sometimes it's just a matter of having the right pieces fall your way. And I'm telling you, sooner or later, these guys are going to break out. They had a great run last night with their Truck Series driver, Cole Martin, getting his first win with Team SRN, and maybe some of that information winds up over here on the team this evening.
Definitely. And next up, Tank Racing, who really led the team standings the entire way this season until they just had a really bad week last week in Las Vegas. But they are led by Zachary Taylor with 2 wins out there on the track. And then Devin Zimmerman, definitely a top 10 driver there. Mike Lepicki, same thing there. Emerson Ardon, he's on the cut line right now. Derek DeSilva just had a bad season so far, but you could potentially see all 5 of these guys in the playoff.
Absolutely, Sean. I know last season Devin Zimmerman made our Mid-South Madness playoffs, and maybe my memory slips me a little bit, but didn't he make it to the Championship 5?
He very well did, and he deserved every single bit of it.
He sure did. The big thing with him, he was just as consistent as what he could be last year, and I wound up in a wreck late in that race, and I kind of saw him beginning to charge through the field, and I think that he had maybe 3 or 4 laps, Devin Zimmerman might have been your Mid-South Madness champion last year.
Oh, definitely. Now, Rowell Smith Racing, again, kind of took over for H2K Motorsports. And so Rowell Smith Racing leading the way up in the Cup Series, and now here they are in third place here in the Xfinity Series, being led by last week's winner Jovi Sagiped and Ryan Ducombe.
Yeah, some new teammates to me here in Jovi and Ryan and Dustin Scruggs, Troy Teichmeyer, and Josh Marcy. Josh, we are now teammates, and hopefully he has forgiven me for my bad brake lock at California a few weeks ago. If he wants to fight me in the parking lot, I probably deserve it.
Not a problem, but I would pay to see that fight, honestly. But let's take a look at Rev Racing, and kind of holds a little bit of a special place in my heart because one of my co-broadcasters, Greg Olenek, on this team, they're in the number 31, but they've got a winner in there as well with Marshall Stanley winning one of the road courses.
Yes, sir. And with Marshall, he did that 25 justice. Unfortunately, I had to pass him at Homestead a few weeks back to win that race, and my tribute to Dale Earnhardt on the anniversary of his death. And I hated having to pass that 25 car to win it, but loved winning. And you got Joshua Siegfried there in the 66, Aaron Gerwitz with some more West Virginia connection to me there in the 09, and Brad Davis down there in the 2.
Next up, we got Team SRN, and so we call this the home team, the factory team, and Mr. David Duke has really put together a good one here. You got Bo Tiffany, Danny Dow, Daniel Keith Jr., Stan Hausman, Wayne Rayburn, really a team with a lot of talent, but the points just haven't really added up just yet.
Yeah, another team that just has had some bad luck this year, Sean, and sometimes with it, you get your bad luck out of the way early. You get to this point of the season, and you've just been able to stick around just enough. You get on a run. I actually spoke with David Duke the other night, and he was letting me know that when his team came out to practice here at Phoenix Raceway, they were practicing with 130-degree track temperatures, wanting it as slick as what they possibly could, so that way they could handle anything that got thrown at them. So the track's a little cooler tonight. They may have just what's needed.
Oh, definitely not a bad way to go about that, doing the really hot track out there. And that's what we call this place, the hot track. But you got R2D2 Motorsports out there. And, Jay Graves has been really, really consistent historically. Jamie Plurd, who won last week in the Truck Series at Las Vegas. You got Kevin Winker out there, Michael Amenti, who's again, one of those drivers that probably should be in that top 15, and then Dylan Patterson, who's right there in the hunt as well. So, man, just a lot of talent. Just again, those finishes not quite there yet.
Yeah, and they'll come, Sean. Whether they come a little too late or whether they come right on time. Those finishes are going to be there for this team. It's only a matter of time before one of these guys breaks through.
Next up, and finally, actually, this is the final actual team out there, R&D Motorsports, and we talked just a little bit earlier. The reason they're down here in the bottom is they only have 3 drivers, but the 3 drivers they have are legit.
Yeah, Sean, this is one of those teams that, they've gone through. They knew that they wouldn't be running for the team championship, but they definitely pulled together what resources that they had to go out and try and get somebody to win this individual championship. You have Daniel Bowdler there in the 6 car, Chris Heller in the 10, and Cody Havens in the 99. And once again, this is 2 guys I've watched all season, Sean, and Bowdler and Havens just kind of run towards the front. Just once again, I've mentioned it all night, just some bad luck. But I'll tell you what, Daniel Bowdler had some bad luck last night, managed to drive his way back up through the field and ran out of time at the end to be able to get it done. But he'll definitely be a driver to watch tonight, I feel like.
And finally, we have our independent drivers. And so these are the guys that, for whatever reason, either are not on a team or decided to join us from either the Cup Series or the Truck Series. And so led by our broadcast partner and teammate for you as well, Jake Rowell up there in the 54.
Yeah, you got Jake Rowell in the 54. You've got a satellite car there for Bronco Motorsports in the 83 for Chris Massey. Landon Lacey coming down from the Cup Series from the Filthy 5. You have Robert Yost there in the 92, Robert Montgomery in the 49, and Tyler Markle there in the 41. Sean, once again, I'm sitting here looking at, in the last 2 slides, I see 3 competitors who I am definitely going to keep an eye on this evening in terms of Jake Rowell, Daniel Bowdler, and Landon Lacey as well. They show speed everywhere they go.
Well, I got to tell you, there's one more guy out there on the track that everybody needs to pay attention to because he won last night in the Truck Series, and that is the number 87 of Cole Martin. He got the win and gets the free entry here in the Xfinity Series.
Yeah, and Sean, as qualifying begins to wrap up here, he has definitely shown a little bit of speed here this evening. Kind of wondering if he's going to try to possibly put his name in the hat for the triple this week, because right now he's showing some good speed, sitting in fourth, less than a tenth off of the pole time currently.
Yeah, just absolutely a great race out there already for that pole position. If I'm reading this correctly, we've got about 14 cars within 0.2 of a second of each other. Absolute insanity out there. So let's get out there on the track and let's kind of see if we can figure out what's going on with this grid. If my screen decides that it wants to cooperate, which it has not been tonight, so I do apologize for that if it does get a little bit choppy here. But since it's not popping up on the screen, I'll just kind of tell you what's going on. Jake Rowell, an independent driver, he is there in the 54, and he is gonna. Oh, there we go. See, it's working now. So Jake Rowell, an independent driver in the 54. Now Jake is tied for second in SRN history for wins. So tonight he is going for that sixth win to tie Daniel Bowdler for the most wins in SRN history.
Yeah, and Daniel Bowdler right there on the outside. He's definitely not going to give that one up. You got Nick Gowan there for Bronco Motorsports in third. Cole Martin, like I said, our Truck Series winner last night, coming in fourth. Nathaniel Mon, another Bronco car in fifth. Rhett Tucker, another Bronco car in sixth. You have the new addition to Rowell Smith Racing and Jovi Sagiped there in seventh. Devin Zimmerman from Tank Racing in eighth. Another RSR car in Ryan Ducombe there in ninth. Gregory Joyner, yet another Bronco car rounding out our top 10. Then you have Emerson Ardon in 11th from Tank Racing and Dylan Patterson from R2D2 Motorsports rounding out our top 12, Sean.
Yep, big time drivers out there. So let's see if we will get this party started because, man, I am anxious to get out there on the track to see how these guys take this dog leg and see who comes out on top.
Yeah, Sean, going through watching all these guys, I know last season Jake Rowell managed to pull this win here for Rowell Smith Racing last season under the name of Striker Motorsports after I had run into some late race luck here at Phoenix. He's talked to me all week. This is one of his absolute favorite tracks. It's a short track that races like a intermediate super fast track, and between the brake control, the heat of the track right now coming in and looking at the heat, it's 108 degrees out there on track. It's tire management. There's just so much that goes into winning a race here at Phoenix.
Yes, and once again, sorry about the technical difficulties. We are working on those right now. The scoring software came up with a new update today, and it has been absolutely awful.
Now that's all right there, Sean. If anything, we'll good old Clint Boyer and Jeff Gordon have a segment on Sundays called "Put It Out." And after last night's truck race, I think you and I need to adopt the same thing here. But hopefully, they won't be putting it out too soon. This pace car is going to pull off here. The field is in the hands of Jake Rowell. Daniel Bowdler in a familiar spot to his outside. Jake gets the green flag and he takes off here, going into turn number 1 for the Cactus 150 here at Phoenix International Race.
Yeah, but Daniel Bowdler, where he was yesterday, pretty much in second place for most of the race, and so he is going to take that spot as we are underway.
Down the backstretch here at Phoenix, Jake Rowell cuts the dog leg a little bit, heads into turn number 3. He's got a pretty decent lead out in front of him here. Daniel Bowdler behind him, then followed very closely behind, it looks like, by Nicholas Gowan. Too wide there for the third spot off of turn number 4 as Jake leads lap number 1.
Oh, and we already have a yellow flag. It's Daniel Keith Jr. back here. And while we go to a rec replay sponsored by Sandwich Man Sports or Racing and Sports Memorabilia. And again, we are still working on these issues that we're having with the scoring system. So we apologize for those issues. But Daniel Keith just kind of loses it in the corner there.
Yeah, Sean, very easy to do, and oh man, he backs up into someone there, and you have another car going around behind him. It's so easy to do on this first lap here at Phoenix, especially on these cold tires. And you get these guys sometimes they get up there in those marbles that have been set up on practice. They go to get into that gas, and that traction's just not there on those rear tires. Got to get a little more warmth in them before you are ready to go through and get racing real hard like that.
Yep, and we are already under caution, and so caution number 1 of the evening, and believe me, we are going to be keeping count because I have a feeling there will be quite a few.
Yeah, Sean, and sometimes with it, when you get these cautions like this, it's definitely not the precedent that you want to see set. You hope that by the time the race is over with, these guys get it a little clean here. The one big thing I want to be looking for in terms of these drivers is, we saw it last night, turn 1 here, you have to get on the brakes very, very hard, and especially on a restart, you have a lot of varying strategies. Some guys like to drive it in deeper. Some guys like to drive it in gentler, so that way they can drive the car off the corner harder. And there's no right way or wrong way to do it. It's just a matter of what's fastest at the time. And hopefully you see these guys kind of get it straightened out, kind of realize what their competition's doing around them here, and just get it pointed in the right direction.
Yeah, as we are going pacing around here, Jake Rowell, Daniel Bowler, I mean, they've definitely had their races side by side before. Both very good drivers. They do a great job out there. But then back here in third, you got Nick Gowan from Bronco Motorsports. So Bronco doing everything they can to put up even more points this week.
Yeah, Sean, you got Bronco there in third. You have a Bronco affiliated car, but not taking the points tonight, in Cole Martin in fourth, and you have another Bronco car there in fifth, and Rhett Tucker. So Bronco already this evening showing quite a bit of prowess here at Phoenix.
Yeah, they definitely know what's going on. They are good at what they do, and so they are just trying to prove that them being up top is not a fluke.
No, and it never is. When it comes to this level of competition, if you're running up at the front, there is no fluke to it. And anybody who says that it is, maybe has never strapped into one of these vehicles before. It may be just sitting there with the steering wheel in your hand in front of a computer. But Sean, it takes a ton of skill to be able to wheel one of these Xfinity Series cars around here at Phoenix.
Well, here we go. I believe we're going to get... No, we got one more lap to go here. So this being a short track, I mean, these cautions actually end up being fairly long as everybody gets a chance to pit and then get all lined back up again.
Yeah, and with our scoring loops right now being a little messed up here, just want to let everybody know at home that we are working lap number 6 of 150. Going to go green here on lap 7 as the field gets the 1 to go signal heading for turn number 1.
And we will have Jake Rowell restarting us. And Jake knows how to get these restarts, and he knows how to jump way out front really fast. And you can do that here at Phoenix, man. You can break away from the pack.
Yeah, you can, Sean. And I'll tell you what, in terms of breaking away, one thing you and I didn't get to before this race, got to ask, who's your pick for tonight?
You know what? I really think that tonight is the night that Rhett Tucker from Bronco Motorsports breaks through. He's back there in 5th right now. He's got his teammates all surrounding him, but I think he's been one of the fastest ones on Bronco Motorsports that just hasn't really finished it off,
Well, Sean, I tell you what, I've got 2 picks tonight, and they're there on the front row. It's Jake Rowell and Daniel Bowler. I'm going to take the cheap way out, but pace car is off. Jake's got the field to his back, and he takes off. Not quite as big of a jump this time. I think Bowler may give him a little bit of a scare here heading into turn 1.
I mean, again, everybody was told earlier today to be super patient. We've got 150 laps of this, and so, of course, drivers don't always listen, but I really think that these guys are going to be more patient than the trucks were last night.
Yeah, and that's going to be the big difference here right now, and that's something that when you look back, you see someone like Cole Martin here that he'll definitely have to look into, because last night he had the field in his control all night, had a ton of restarts that he got to go through. Right now you're getting some green flag racing in, and you got to know when to go hard, when to save the equipment, and right now with these tires just coming up to pressure, I think you got to give them a little bit of a charge, try to make up as much track position as you can, but not so much to melt the tires here on what has now risen up to 103-degree track temperature.
Oh, and yes, that is going to pull in that practice that David Duke was doing for his team where they cranked up the heat. That is when that comes into play because a lot of these guys practiced last night when track temps were around 80 degrees.
Yeah, Sean, and as this race goes on, if you get a bunch of caution flags, it definitely pays dividends to those guys who practice in the cooler temperature as the sun begins to set here in the Valley of the Sun. And as it begins to set, it will cool this track down. It will begin to gain a little bit of grip and sometimes almost too much grip for some of these guys. The car begins to push a little bit just because of how much traction you have, and you just can't drive it as hard. But right now, the vehicles look to be handling pretty well as Jake Rowell continues to lead over Daniel Bowder. In third, we have Nicholas Gowan. Back in fourth, you have Cole Martin, last night's winner, and then Rhett Tucker rounding out our top five.
Yeah, so pretty much 5 Bronco Motorsports drivers, whether in this series or in the truck series, are in the top 7. So Bronco Motorsports just completely...
Trouble on the speedway.
Whoa! I believe that might be Zachary Taylor. That's our points leader back there.
Oh, no.
Our second in points. Second in points, sorry.
Sorry, Sean. Didn't mean to interrupt you there, buddy. Go ahead and finish that thought.
No. I was saying that's our second place in points in the entire series, and already he is definitely going to have to use a fast repair.
Yeah, Sean. And, the thing is right now when you got that type of front end damage, there are 2 different schools of thought as we take a look to see what happened here on our Sandwich Man Racing and Sports Memorabilia Rec replay, what happened. But with those 2 schools of thought, right now you got a lot of race to go, and sometimes these cars don't handle terribly without the front end. So, it looks like he's going to get to the outside, just get super loose, and just self-spins right in front of Michael Amenti, right down here on this front stretch, slams that inside wall hard. But, Sean, I'm in a tough spot right here, right? If I'm Zachary Taylor, I know how long this race is. I've seen the cautions kind of come out the way that they have, and I've watched the truck race last night. If the damage is not too bad, if you're not overheating, it may be worth it to hold on to that fast repair for a little bit till a little bit later in this race, but we're going to see what he does here.
See, I kind of disagree with you, and the reason I disagree is because that was a huge hit to the front of the car. If that was the side of the car, I would agree with you 100%, but not knowing what that engine is doing right now, I'm not sure I can take that risk.
Yeah, and that's going to be the big thing with it. That's going to be where he as a driver has to go through to assess it. If he's got any type of a spotter on the track to say, hey, listen, you got your radiator all out there in the wind. You don't want to mess anything up there. Sometimes with it they can get optional damage on iRacing fixed to, maybe not so much put another hood on it there, but just to try and keep that motor cool. And like I said, you sit here for maybe another 80, 90 laps, and then you get a late caution. At that point in time, it may be worth to take it just in case you wind up in another big wreck between now and the end.
And now you're seeing a bunch of cars coming off of pit road. So pretty much everybody from 20th on back decided to pit this time around. And not a bad idea. I mean, we got unlimited tires. We've got unlimited stops here. So if you're already that far back, go ahead and get the fresh tires. Go ahead and get that advantage.
Yeah, and Sean, I tell you what, the man who's led every lap tonight, Jake Rowell, up in first. I know we may be playing with fire with some of our technical issues this evening, but I'd love to get him up here in the booth.
Let's see if I can grab him without breaking my computer. We're going to try it. We're going to try and see what's going on with Jake Rowell. This is Dean and Sean up in the booth, brother. How's it going?
What's going on, boys? Not too much. It's looking a lot like last night. I'm a little afraid to be in here.
Well, Jake, you're in the best spot last night. We saw Cole Martin up front all night long, had the field to his rear and be able to control those restarts. Jake, this evening you told me that this was one of your favorite tracks here at Phoenix. How's the car feeling this evening in terms of handling? Is it tight? Is it loose? What's going on here? I know the track temps are sitting right about a little over 100 degrees, so how's it feel tonight?
It feels really good, Dean. It's not too tight. It's not terribly loose, obviously. Not too sure how it'll be on a longer run. Wasn't able to get, too decent of a run in practice. But, I mean, right now, like I said in my post-race interview for Mid-South Madness's victory, or winner's interview, this is my sandbox. Everyone else is just chilling in it.
But
go ahead.
No, well, Jake, you're doing awesome here this evening. I thought you would be breaking out the Camaro this evening, but I've just got one question for you, buddy. Is that a Supra?
It definitely is, man. I mean, obviously, RSR, we bring on an Xfinity team here. They all run Toyota Supra, so had to join the team. You know, it's just a mesh, good things going. Pretty excited for this race, and obviously adding that Xfinity team on.
All right, buddy. Well, we'll let you get back to it. Good luck tonight, and we'll see you soon.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
Oh, Sean, one of my favorite interviews is always a teammate, especially when they're leading here as the pace car ducks down to pit road. Jake Rowell's going to have this field in tow one more time. Green flag comes out, and Jay goes early this time, gets him a big jump here, but still not as big of a jump as, what we have been able to see is Daniel Ballard moves down in front of that 81.
Yeah, and again, we are still 1-2, Jake Rowell, Daniel Bowdler, and then, of course, you've got everybody from Bronco Motorsports right behind, including my pick, the number 81 of Rhett Tucker.
Yes, sir, and anybody watching that ticker on our broadcast right now, we are not under caution. We are actually green at this point. Once again, just some technical difficulties that we've been seeing this evening. If you hear me and Sean yell a little louder than usual, you'll know someone's around on the track.
Definitely. We are doing everything we can to fix those technical difficulties, and again, those our scoring system had an update today, and it has rocked our world. But
now we have a yellow.
There it is. It's back in the back of the pack here, so that's the 23 of Daniel Keith Jr. He went around the first time too, didn't he?
He did, Sean. And when you're Daniel Keith Jr. and you've had two incidents like that, a tenth of the way through the race, you got to go through and got to re-rack and say, hey, man, we got to have this car at the end. But we'll take a look at what happened with the Sandwich Man Racing Sports and Memorabilia Rec replay.
Yeah, and it looks like he's just kind of back there in the back of the pack. And I think it looked like he got brake checked there a little bit, and then all of a sudden,
no.
The 89, that's Brad Williams, just took a left-hand turn there.
Yeah, and that's one of those wrong place, wrong time type moments here, Sean. Because look, he takes a shot from the back here. Looks like can't tell who that is in the 83.
That's Chris Massey. Yeah, that's Massey.
Yeah, he gets a little shot from behind, and that doesn't upset the car. But then the 89 just kind of loses it in front of him, and just nowhere to go.
Yep, there's the shot on the right rear end there, and then just a little bit of contact right up in front of him. So that was Brad.
Oh man, and Zach Taylor got in that too, Sean. He got into Massey right there. If you go back and rewind that just a hair.
Yeah, let's see if we can get that.
Yeah, look, after the wreck happens, and this is what I was talking about. So he dives down in here. You see the 89 drift up. He's got it missed. Everything's good, but he comes down a little bit. Boom, right there. Left front damage there on that 14 car.
Yeah, that is not going to bode well for our former series leader.
No, Sean, definitely not. And that kind of boils back to what we were talking about a little bit ago in terms of taking care of your equipment, taking care of the car. And, that's going to make it a tough night here. As this track begins to cool down a little bit, as the sun sets, that's going to tighten the car up. That damage is going to tighten the car up just a little bit more. And if you're Zach Taylor, you've got to be patient here now. You can make up a lot of spots in this race, possibly pull yourself as a points leader by the time it's over, but incidents like that will have you dropping through the standings in a quick hurry.
Yes, it will. And so we are back up here with Jake Rowell and Daniel Bowdler once again. And, not really a bunch of changes up front. It looks like they kind of get spaced out pretty quickly there. But, again, we are 3 cautions in and only 20 laps into the race. So, it might be a long night for everybody, I believe.
I know last night I was having nightmares. I had to wake up about every 2 or 3 minutes. My dreams had yellow flags, Sean. So hopefully tonight we don't wind up seeing much of the same. I told you I had 9 picks for cautions tonight, so we're on pace for a little bit more than that. But hey, I might still wind up on the better end of the deal.
Well, I know last night's truck race, if you did the math on it, if we had done a 600-mile race, then we would have ended up with, get this, 96 cautions.
That kind of hurts a little bit just to even hear that number. A ton of cautions there. And usually you think about it at a 3 to 4 laps under caution each and every time, Sean. I mean, that would have that would have been a long time. I think we would have ended that broadcast all of about 27 minutes ago.
Yeah, pretty much. And the fear here obviously is, the more short tracks we have, the more wrecking there's going to be and stuff like that. This is a little bit of a different short track than anywhere else because of that dog leg, and everybody gets so spread out. You can fit 15 cars wide on that dog leg, but then it decreases down to something that's about 3 or 4 cars wide.
Yeah, and you can't really see it right there from that angle, Sean. Once we get to green flag racing, we may have to take a look through one of our helmet cams. But it is very wide, and it just races so uniquely here. But we're lined up 2 by 2, Sean. This pace car is going to pull off again. The field is going to be in the hands of Jake Rowell and that beautiful, beautiful 54 car. He's going to come down here off of turn 4, get to the restart box. Get ready, get ready. Green flag is out, and Jake Rowell takes off here once again to lead the Cactus 150 at Phoenix. Daniel Bowdler is going to drop down here, and he's going to get a pretty big run. As you look back, you begin to see some of that braking in different spots there, Sean.
And you can see Jake Rowell get way down below the line. That is that dog leg. And, of course, the fastest way between 2 points is a straight line, and that's what they're trying to do there.
Yes, Sean, and like I said, it's so much of a momentum change. Let's go on board with Jake Rowell here as he leads this field around and heads down here into turn number 1. You see, you get on the brakes very, very hard. You're down against that yellow line. You wait, you get on the throttle, kind of drives to the middle of the track, but then to gain some of that speed back, watch this. Watch, boom, that car unloads real hard right there, and that's going to be a battle for these drivers this evening to go through there. And when you go in there side by side, like you said, you've got some guys coming off of a curve, some guys going in a straight line. That is going to be definitely a critical spot, just like this front straightaway, how narrow it is. If one car gets around, it can stack the entire field into them.
Oh, yeah, we saw that last night. We called it the Phoenix parking lot. We had a couple of those because, again, it gets so narrow at certain points of this racetrack that you just can't get by if cars are turned sideways due to a wreck.
No, and Sean, I tell you what here, your pick this evening, Rhett Tucker is starting to knock on the back door here of Daniel Bowdler as they work their way through turn 3 and 4. Bowdler looking just a little loose. Big save right there by Bowdler, and that's going to let Tucker pull up to him here. He might have the position when they work their way down here. We'll see if he can use this dog leg to his advantage.
Yeah, and Tucker takes that really deep shot, and let's see if he can get side by side with Bowdler going in the corner, and he will. And so they're going to have to decide, do we want to keep fighting over this, or do we want to just let this get lined up? And I don't think Bowdler's ready to stop fighting.
No, not at all, Sean, but you got to be careful right here. You've seen a lot of drivers get loose off that turn 4, but right here I think this is where Tucker's going to get him heading into turn 1. It's just so much shorter of a way around, but let's see if Bowdler can carry any momentum off the top. And actually, Bowdler looks to be fading just a little bit as he's under fire from Gregory Joyner.
Yeah, but again, keep in mind what happened last night where Bowdler dropped all the way back due to a wreck, and then he came all the way back up through the field to take second place. So he is no stranger to having to work his way through this stuff.
No, Sean, and right there, Gregory Joyner gives him a lot of room. He could have run him a lot tighter, gives him a little bit of room. Bowdler gets a better run off the corner, and he's going to hold on to that third spot. But right behind him, ducking to the inside, looks like that you've got Dylan Patterson going to try to contend for that fourth spot.
Yeah, Gregory Joyner, this is where he has to be super smart out there because he knows that Zachary Taylor is a couple of laps down right now. So if Joyner can just stay on this lead lap and stay out of trouble, get a top 10 out of this thing, he can really put some distance on second place in the points.
And Sean, I tell you what, it looks like Patterson is just coming with a lot of speed right now. He kind of pulled right up here to the back bumper of Daniel Bowdler. Up front, you got Jake Rowell, who just ran a 28.247. Bowdler ran a 28.282. But Patterson, even though his lap time was about 2/10 off of what Bowdler is, you see him, he's got that fender right there tucked up underneath him. Curious to see what the speeds at the line are going to be this time.
Yeah, Patterson had to check up just a hair there because he was starting to slide up the track. And that's kind of, if you look at the way that Patterson drives, he drives kind of with reckless abandon, man. He dives that car down in there, and he's not that concerned about tires right now, I don't think. I think he thinks it's going to be a very short race as far as stints are concerned.
Yeah, and sometimes, Sean, you know your competition around you. You know what's going on, and you got to go through sometimes and get what you can. As he's going to take a look here for Bowdler on the inside heading for turn 1. Bowdler wisely just going to kind of move over and not try to run too hard here.
Yeah, Bowdler just taking his sweet time, nothing really to stress about right now. But back here a little ways back, you got Cole Martin, who won the race last night in the 87 on the inside. And then on the outside, that is our points leader, Gregory Joyner.
Yeah, and right behind them, the newest addition to RSR, you got Ryan Ducombe there in that number 7 car. I think he has one of the most unique-looking cars in this field each and every week. It's a very clean and sleek-looking paint job, and just kind of beautiful to see it out here each and every week running for the championship.
Definitely, and let's go back just a little bit further, because I believe we've got a little bit of a race going on. Devin Zimmerman back here in the 33 trying to catch up to Danny Dow.
Yeah, and, we're getting to the point of the run here, Sean, where tires are beginning to kind of equalize. Driver talent's beginning to come out, and you're getting ready to see who's got the long run speed. This hasn't been a long run by any means, but in comparison to what we had last night, it definitely has. If we go 3 wide for just a moment, just very interesting to see how this is going to be. Zimmerman's got a little bit of a gap between him and the next few cars in front of him, and sometimes that clean air can help. But it's just a snaking, winding road here heading through 3 and 4.
Yeah, I got a little bit of a race back here. Brad Davis.
Ooh, one car in the wall. Trouble on the front straightaway.
That's Landon Lacey in the 53. And then
another car goes around.
That's the 81 that's going around there. I'm trying to figure out who that 81 is.
I don't think that's a legitimate 81. I think that might be someone.
That's Doc Holliday. That is Doc Holliday, and it's supposed to be the 86, but he's in the 81.
Yeah, that Taco Bell car just got his bell rung a little bit there, Sean. Once again, that front stretch parking lot, spots can close up in a very quick hurry, as Doc Holliday just found out here. But let's take a look here at the Sandwich Man Racing and Sports Memorabilia Rec Replay just to see what happened off this treacherous turn 4 at Phoenix.
Chris Massey involved in this as well, so that's the second one that he's been involved in too. So he probably has some damage. It looked like Chris Massey got up into the wall, but before that happened, looked like Lacey had some issues already.
Yeah, looks like Lacey. I can't tell if he got any help right there from the left rear, or if he got tight off the corner. That car just slapped so evenly with the right side. Usually that's a product of getting tight, but let's take a look here. He's going to move up here. Yeah, Sean, just like I said, I think he just got tight coming up off that corner, and Greg Olenek unfortunately sends him around. Not certain how much damage he has, but that turn 4 at Phoenix, Sean, it is so treacherous. You can either drive off that corner and the rear end tries to snap out from underneath you, or you can drive off that corner and the front end will not turn at all. The people who are going to be the fastest tonight are the ones that can keep their cars neutral and pointed great off that turn 4, because this is where all your speed for a lap is made.
Yeah, it looks like Jake Rowell and everybody else into the pits except for Greg Olenek, who got just a touch of damage from that. He decides to stay out to take that track position.
Yeah, let's take a look at the front end of that 31 Chevrolet here, Sean. Let's see if we can get a view on it.
Oh, not there.
Oh, he loves that cow suit. That's my wife's new favorite car. She loves cows, and Greg unfortunately has gone through to kind of steal her. Man, I tell you what, that front end does not look bad on that Moo and Brew.
Yeah, I see a
Chevrolet.
little bit of damage. It's a little bit over there on the passenger side there, so a little bit of damage to the hood, but I think he's going to be okay, especially on a short track.
Yeah, Sean, and especially having the field behind you, this is definitely going to stack it up here. We've got a leader for the first time tonight besides Jake Rowell, and it'll be interesting to see how everybody gets their restarts behind them. Looks like on that pit stop, man, Daniel Bowler lost a couple spots. Not sure what happened, but me and Greg have actually been talking a little bit here. Moo and Brew is actually a business located in Charlotte, North Carolina, and I actually had the discussion with my wife the other night. The next time we're in Charlotte, we are definitely stopping in. So to the owner of that wonderful establishment, your sponsorship here is definitely going a long way for the Speed Racing Network. I can promise you that.
Yes, it is, and we've heard a lot about them. We've seen a lot of the pictures there, so, man, I just got to get over that direction, and I'm one of those guys that I pick where I want to travel based on the food that is there.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's got everything you could ever want right there in the name. You know, beef and beer. I mean, what more do you need out of any restaurant, Sean?
Oh, absolutely nothing. But hey, we'll have to check that out sometime, definitely. But let's reload here. We got Greg Olenek up there in that top position, getting Moo and Brew a little bit of screen time here, and then you got Jake Rowell and Rhett Tucker right behind him, along with Dylan Patterson, who on fresh tires, that guy could make up some ground quick.
Yeah, and Sean, right now the big thing is everybody's got to work here very, very carefully. What did we have on that last run? About 15 laps? Does that sound about right?
Yep, that's exactly right, actually. So right at 15 laps. And so, of course, we are under caution for the fourth time in this race. Now, we realize it says lap 26 up there. It is not lap 26. It is actually lap 36. And so we apologize for the technical difficulties, but we are seeing a good race out there.
Yeah, real quick before we go green, Sean, the last green lap by Greg Olenek was a 29.924. The first green flag lap by Jake Rowell was a 29.1. So this could be a huge difference in speed. Let's see what happens here as Olenek takes off. He gets a pretty decent restart as they begin to head for turn number 1. Jake Rowell's going to get right to his right rear, though. Is he going to take high? Is he going to go low? He's going to go in high above Greg Olenek. He's just going to drive around that 31 machine as he heads his way down this backstretch.
And that kind of traps Rhett Tucker there. Rhett's going to have to get down to the inside as quickly as possible. Comes back up, almost gets into Olenek, but they get it all sorted out. And Olenek's going to start falling back really quick here.
Yeah, and unfortunately, Olenek is the pilgrim in the unholy land right now here, Sean, but he's making his moves, kind of moving around to let guys around him. He knows right now that he made the mistake, but that is something that you put into the bank for later in the race and say, hey, how many laps do I feel comfortable staying out on tires before I try to go out here and take the lead?
And look who's in second now. Dylan Patterson restarted that shot in fourth and now all the way up into second. And again, he's one of those that on these fresh tires, he's tough to beat.
Yes, Sean, and right now on these fresh tires, you got to get everything that you can out of them. You got to conserve what you can. As we see 3 wide a little further back in the field there, that's Greg Olenek just continuing his free fall through the field. That right there should show you how precious 4 fresh tires can be here.
Now, he last pitted on lap 12, so those are 22-lap-old tires. And, it's a good shot to take because of all the cautions that are here already. Just didn't quite work out for him this time around.
Yeah, and Sean, actually, I was mistaken. I had told you that Jake Rowell had ran like a 29.1 on his first green flag lap. He is actually running just now his fastest lap of the race, a 28.342, his first lap back out on these tires. So, I mean, you're dealing with close to a second and a half of fall off. I get what Greg was going for, maybe hoping to get maybe 5 or 6 laps. A quick caution, 3 wide into turn number 3 as they make it work. This is not going to work out of this corner, Sean. There's no way. They made it work. I am amazed.
Fowler started sliding there, showing off his dirt track prowess. He started skidding a little bit, saved it, and he is going to be in third place, maybe. Oh, I don't know. He's gonna get a good run down here. Oh no, he slows it down. Oh, we got a yellow flag out there on the track. Sorry about that. We got a yellow flag.
No, interesting to see what happened. I watched him kind of hit the brakes. I didn't see the flag man out there.
That is Wayne Rayburn right there without a hood. Then you got Troy Teichmeyer back here in the Nebraska car. And I think Zachary Taylor may have also been involved. So let's go back to a rec replay and see what we can figure out what happened here. And again, our former points leader, Zachary Taylor, out there trying to just get as many points as he can to keep himself in this race for the championship. But it looks like... Oh, yeah. That's the 11.
Oh, man. What in the world happened there, Sean? Was the 11 trying to get to pit road?
I'm not sure. That's Dustin Scruggs in the 11. Let's see if we can see it from his point of view.
Oh, he gets touched by Marshall Stanley. Yeah, there you go. That'll do it every time there, Sean. Oh, and he lets off the brake. That is a cardinal sin in terms of these cars, Sean. When you get spun down here to the bottom of the track, you have got to hold that brake, and just kind of looks like he lets off of it, thinks he's going to save it, and rolls back into the racing surface. But, a mistake made there by the 11. Nothing you can do when you get spun. No one's going to blame you for getting spun. It happens, but, just sometimes you've got to make sure that you don't wash back up into that track.
And here's the view from Zachary Taylor from above him. and he's just wrong place, wrong time, gets up into the wall. So again, more damage for our former points leader. And so we will see.
I think after last night, Sean, after what we saw, I believe we're going to pass the Stryker Motorsports curse over to Zachary Taylor, because he is just having a rough outing this evening here at Phoenix.
Yeah, this would actually make 2 rough outings in a row. Now, I'll tell you, the point standings that we have right now, currently, are not including drop weeks. Every driver gets 3 drop weeks, so you get to drop your 3 lowest point total races. Last week, he just had a bad race. I mean, he just did. He knows it. Everybody else knows it, and he's admitted to as such. This week doesn't look like he's having a good week, but that's only 2 drop races. I mean, other than that, he's been basically top 5 every single week.
Yeah, Sean, very consistent. He wound up winning in a nail-biter week 1 at Chicagoland. I watched that race and just, drove very, very well. Made sure that he was in a position to be where he needed to be at the end of the race. And, right now a lot of these guys who are up front, they're getting single file. They're giving room. I just want to go ahead right now and say, so far, my good hands move of the race is going to Dylan Patterson, because he had an opportunity to stick it in 3 wide with Daniel Bowdler and Rhett Tucker, and he backed out of the throttle just to let those 2 go up there. And he didn't know if they were going to make it or not, but he was giving himself the position. And that right there, between the speed he's shown early as well as moves like that, is what can keep you around at the end of this race and possibly make you a favorite with 10 or so to go.
This is one of those races where you really have to consider, do I want to go for the win here, or do I want to get as many points as possible here? And there is a difference, because if you're going for the win, you're going to have to make some moves that you may or may not want to make, especially here on a short track. So sometimes it's a lot more prudent to just get your top 10 finish, get your top 15 finish, survive the day, so that way you get those extra points on these other drivers that are taking these risks and failing on those risks.
Yeah, and if you're a guy like Jake Rowell, the big thing with it here is, you definitely want to go for the win. You've shown your dominance early, but you don't want to be like me at California a few weeks ago and cost anybody some points here, Sean. If you're Jake, you're here to win and nothing more than to win. But when you've got these other guys around you racing for championship points, you've got to keep it in your head here too. Hey, these are guys that I could be racing with next year. I could race with them again. There's just so many differing strategies here. As the pace car pulls off, the field goes in Jake Rowell's hands again. He's going to get on that gas pedal and fire off here down for turn number 1. Good restart by Daniel Bowdler behind him.
Yeah, Jake Rowell basically leading this entire race for the most part. And it looks like he's going to get a good run coming off of these corners going into the dogleg.
Caution's out again, Sean.
Oh, boy. And let's go back and find out who that is. I don't see. Is that Nathaniel Mon? Yeah, Nathaniel Mon, awfully slow out there. Had a great race last night going until finally just getting into a bad caution. But let's see what happened with him as we go to another Rec Replay sponsored by Sandwich Man Racing and Sports Memorabilia. It looks like he's right on the tail of Greg Joyner, who is our points leader, and his teammate. And it just kind of gets accordioned up, and Zimmerman gets into the back of him a little bit, and that's all it takes.
Yeah, and that's no one's fault there, Sean. I mean, there is nobody to point a finger at in any way, shape, or form. If you go on board, actually, with Nathaniel Vaughn, I'd love to see what he sees going down in here. He hits the brakes, everything accordions, and boom, you feel that big shot behind him. He spins, he's trying to hold it down to the bottom of the track, and you take a look from the exact same shot from Devin Zimmerman. You're going to see the exact same thing. The big difference is going to be Zimmerman he doesn't have the time to check up here, Sean. He's going to get down here, he's going to look, he's going to see, and then boom, he's running his line. Everybody else is running theirs. That's just that different level of patience here. Some of these guys in the back have to know what that accordion is going to look like when it happens, but at this point, that's kind of that learning phase. I can't point a finger to anybody there on that track.
Look how narrow it is going into this entry, and then it opens up. But when it's that narrow, it's just everybody crunches together, and you're worried about the guy on the side of you, and the second you take your eyes off the guy in front of you, that's when they break.
Yeah, and it's tough back here, Sean. You're trying to do everything that you can in your power to go and make spots up. You want to get the most out of those tires as you can get them, knowing that these cautions have been falling the way that they are. You don't want to be the caution, but you have to be able to make up 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5 spots before the next yellow comes out, just to position yourself a little bit better for the crawl through the field.
Yeah, and again, all the technical difficulties we have here, this is lap number 50 out of 150, so still plenty of time here for people to make the moves that they need to make, but Jake Rowell is in the safest position there is, and that is out in front of everybody.
Yeah, and that's the best place to be. I mean, we saw it last night with Cole Martin, and I'll tell you, I'm gathering a lot of notes here, Sean, between last night and tonight. Track position seems to be the absolute king amongst everything else.
And just going back through the pack here, so last night's winner, Cole Martin, up here in 6th position, putting on a show for everybody tonight.
Yeah, Sean, I'll tell you what, he's been very consistent there. Started 4th this evening. Right now, our big mover, we've got 2 of them here in the race that I'm really looking at. You got Brad Williams in that 89 that started 29th. He's moved his way up to 15th, but they're in 4th. The man we've been watching drive through the field, Dylan Patterson, he started 12th and has worked his way up here to 4th. So, you pick them off a little at a time, Sean, and it adds up over time.
Yes, it does. And so, man, just loading back up. So it used to be that Bronco Motorsports had 4 of the top 7. Now it's pretty much a lot of different teams up there. So just kind of a big mess up there. But guy leading the way isn't even in this series. He's actually in the Cup Series, just getting some practice in for that race on Sunday, Jake Rowell.
Yeah, Sean. I mean, when you have a track that you love, you're going to go through. You want as many laps on it as what you can. And something like this here tonight, you remember a few weeks ago, Jake Rowell won and pretty well dominated the Darlington Xfinity race, ran great on Sunday night. So kind of makes you wonder if this is going to bode anything the same for him for Sunday night. Right now, though, that pace car is off, and he's getting ready to head back underneath that flag stand going green. Jake Rowell into the gas, pulls up in front of Daniel Bowder as they head for turn number 1.
So Dylan Patterson got into Rhett Tucker there, and we will see if that keeps it green. It looks like it will, but just that little bit of damage could cause a lot of problems a little bit later on.
Yeah, the back end of that number 8 car is definitely messed up a little bit right now here, Sean. And, that doesn't really so much affect you at a track here like Phoenix, but it definitely can hurt the handling just a little bit as it drags on into the run. But right behind Patterson, he has an absolute field of cars behind him. Guys such as my new teammate, Ryan Ducombe, Cole Martin, Jovi Sagiped, Greg Joyner. I mean, these guys are right under a blanket here as we begin to really see that dogleg and how they fan out through there.
Yeah, definitely a lot of cars just trying to find.
Oh man!
Looks
wow!
Like
saved it, Sean. Behind him they begin to go around. Caution is out.
That's Devin Zimmerman going around, but that was not Zimmerman's fault there. He was reacting to the cars in front of him. Kevin Winker was pretty much sideways there. Got a little bit of damage from Nick Gowen. So, and then Zimmerman just had to check up.
Sean, that is definitely a rough one there, and that is one thing I would love to take a look here at this Sandwich Man Racing and Sports Memorabilia Rec replay, just to see, I told you here that this track can narrow up so much when you use that dog leg, and, he gets down in here so much faster. Let's just see what happens. Oh, we see him up in front. Oh, and Zimmerman just didn't have a chance there, man. I mean, he couldn't react to it fast enough, and just another incident this evening, just that he could have done nothing different, man.
You can see it's going to happen up in front of him. It looks like it's Winker and Gowan that get into each other there, and then Teichmeyer gets sideways, and Zimmerman just reacting, trying not to run into people. Just gets it sideways, and hopefully that car's okay, and he can jump right back out there, maybe go get some fresh tires. He'll be okay.
Yeah, hopefully the front end's not too terrible. I'm not certain if he had to use his fast repair on that previous caution or not, but hopefully the front end damage isn't too awful bad. Who was it there, Sean, who had originally tapped the 42?
That is Nick Gowan.
Let's take a look at the onboard there, Sean. Just coming off of turn 2, heading for that turn 3, just to kind of see the variance in speed that he would have seen. Looking down here, it narrows up, and he doesn't get into the brakes quick enough, and unfortunately, the 42 kind of becomes a turning point for him, and around he goes. I will tell you one thing, Sean. We've got our colors a little backwards this evening. So far with our technical difficulties, green flag on the ticker means yellow, yellow flag on the ticker means green. So we at least have something that resembles a series of controlled chaos here.
Well, it is definitely chaos, and so, yeah, those of you that are just joining us, a lot of technical difficulties here tonight. We're still getting the race in, which is great, but, yeah, we're going to have to kind of call and tell you what's going on in the race more than you seeing it on the screen.
One thing that's going to be definitely controlled chaos here, Sean, I tell you what, man, I'm looking very, very forward here to that All-Star race here in several weeks.
Man, me too, and the hashtag is out there. I'm going to get some shirts made. It is time for Sean Griffith to whip Tripp here at the All-Star race.
Tripp, just so that way I don't wind up getting completely banned from my driving duties. I had no part in the hashtag whip Tripp, even though, hey, it's probably going to happen. Just going to let you know. It's definitely going to be a fun race here, Sean. We're going to have an actual draft. We're going to pick drivers from the Cup Series, Xfinity Series, and Truck Series on May the 1st. And, man, it's going to be like a true all-star event. We're going to get to find out who gets to run those qualifier races on Saturday, May the 8th, and then Sunday go to our all-star race running the ARCA cars, or a lot of people may notice them as the old-style NASCAR Generation 4 bodies at Indianapolis Motor Speedway.
Oh, yeah, there is a lot of trash talking already going on, most of it from my side, of course. I don't think that Tripp really wants to get into the trash talking, mainly because I don't think he can back it up.
Well, at day's end, Sean, you never know who's going to back it up, and he's been doing a little more practice on track. Our joke last year was that he was always the pace car, but this year he may have some of that Jake Rowell-esque pace car in him in terms of leading this field around here at Phoenix tonight.
Well, it'll definitely be a fun race regardless. There is definitely a bet between myself and Tripp, which will add to the prize fund of the All-Star race. So everybody come out and watch us for that All-Star race. It is going to be a blast. But Jake Rowell, once again, with the restart, Daniel Bowler right on his outside, and they get the party started here on lap 58.
Yeah, this was the point of the race last night, Sean, in the Truck Series, where Bowler really began to stick it in deep to start driving this car a little harder. I think maybe he might have learned something a little bit from that first run in terms of some tire conservation. And right now, he's just kind of sitting here behind Jake, kind of sizing him up, looking at his competition from behind as Patterson begins to look to the inside, but he's not going to be able to get to that spot for third just quite yet as they begin to fan out, maybe looking to attempt to go 3 wide into turn 1.
Somebody that we haven't really talked about tonight at all is Danny Dow up here in 6th place, just having a nice quiet race, but really quietly moving up through the pack 11 spots to where he is right now.
Making the home team proud this evening here, Sean. That number 21 car has had some very unfortunate luck this season, but man, I tell you what, he has that thing pointed in the right direction and is getting on it tonight.
Yes, he is. Our winner from last night, Cole Martin, up here in 5th place, and he's got his teammate, or one of his teammates from Bronco Motorsports, up here in Rhett Tucker, up in 3rd.
Yeah, Sean, those Bronco cars just being that model of consistency. Ooh, Daniel Bowler just got a little touch of that outside wall there. I don't think it messed anything up, but just kind of thinned out that right rear of the car just a hair as Rhett Tucker begins to knock on his back door, trying to set his sights for the front as we're about 60 laps into this 150-lap event. Hopefully now we begin to see a little bit of green flag racing here.
Yeah, and as these cars start dropping out, and I'll tell you, so Zachary Taylor has dropped out of the race. Chris Massey dropped out of the race. Landon Lacey dropped out of the race. So as these cars start to leave the track, it just makes a little bit more room out there for you to make some of these moves.
Yeah, and Sean, it looks like here that Tucker gets by. Bowler's going to try to set his sights right back for him. Not ready to concede that spot just yet, but you got to be careful here because Dylan Patterson's right behind you. You don't want to wind up losing too many spots too quick as this race continues to tick on here.
Yeah, Dylan making that outside work in turns 1 and 2, then going down deep in turn 3, kind of the dog leg there. and then coming around about mid-level. So Dylan Patterson kind of working the entire track here.
Yeah, and Sean, that's what you got to do when it comes to a track like this. You have to be able to go and find the grip wherever that it may be. Right now the track, as the sun has begun to waver a little bit, it has dropped a little bit, the temperature down to 96. But we'll tell you, just a few laps ago, it was down to 94. So as we begin to get these green flag runs, it's going to heat this track up. It's going to get a little more slick, and you're going to have to move around just a little bit here as we begin to see Jovi Sagaped to the outside of that 21 car. Oh, that's going to be so close off that corner.
Yeah, and both of those drivers very patient, good, really experienced drivers, and so a less experienced driver would have forced that issue there. But both Jovi and Danny Dow, very experienced drivers, so they know how to play well with each other there.
Yeah, and I'm definitely intrigued to see how this is going to go. I think Danny's going to get the better run off the corner. No, Jovi's actually going to get a big run to his outside. But let's see what happens here. Looks like Danny got just a little tight. Jovi was able to get to his outside. Heads his way for turn one as, that 35 car almost slides up into Danny, but Danny's able to roll that outside lane a little bit. This was something we didn't see a lot of last night, Sean, in that truck race, was the multiple groove racing coming in. But as these Xfinity cars begin to get a few more laps on these tires, they start searching for grip everywhere, and you're going to start seeing cars spread out left, right, a little bit of everywhere.
Man, Rowell Smith Racing putting on a show here. 6th, 7th, 9th, and 22nd are their top 4 drivers. And so 3 drivers in the top 10, not bad, but right behind them, you got 4 drivers from Rev Racing between numbers 10 through 14 here. So a lot of Rev Racing drivers trying to work their way up to try to move up in the point standings.
Yeah, and Sean, right now with this race starting to attempt to have a little bit of a green flag feel to it, is you still see a lot of guys too wide working through. Oh, man, Greg Olenek, I could not tell there, but it looked like he was in about a 4-wheel slide coming up off of turn 4. But to my point here, as these tires begin to wear down a little bit, you're going to see these cars spread out. You're going to start really seeing these guys who have the speed coming to the top. And, that long run speed now very well could translate into short run speed later on in the race, because you're beginning to get a little more comfortable. You finally have that opportunity to be around other cars and just see what you and themselves can do.
Yeah, Devin Zimmerman, who's been involved in a couple of little incidents here. Again, none of his own doing. It's just he's kind of been where those incidents are happening. But he's still out there turning these laps up in 18th place. He's already in the playoffs as it sits right now. So any positions he can pick off here just kind of solidifies that for him.
Yeah, and Sean, every little spot counts. Every point counts. Everything counts when it comes down here to the playoffs. If anybody could go through to be the one and only person to tell you about that in terms of last season, bringing my equipment to the hospital to be able to run that race at Kansas. And, I finished 1 spot to the good in that race to be able to go through to the next round of the playoffs. I secured my championship 5 spot with a win the next week at Las Vegas. And, 1 spot can be the difference here in these races between making the next round or even making the playoffs and not.
And all 5 of these cars. So Joshua Siegfried up here in 12th place all the way back to 16th. That is all Revved Racing. So they have teamed up out there on the track, and now they can start moving forward. But up front, Jake Rowell has checked out. He is 2 seconds ahead on a short track. That's tough to do.
Yes, Sean, the big thing I want to see here, because that time by, he actually ran about a 1/10 and a half faster than Rhett Tucker. I'm interested to see, as this race continues, is Jake able to continue that speed? Because one thing that you and I both know, Jake definitely has a lot of short run speed, but when he gets to a track he is very comfortable with, he has the entire run speed. So I'm interested to see, Jake got very close to that outside wall that time. But I'm interested to see here what happens as we go on. That time, Rhett Tucker outran him by 100th of a second. But, when it comes down to this race here, you're not going to win making 100ths and 1000s. You got to be cutting chunks out of that time frame when a man's 2 seconds in front of him.
Well, a couple of his drivers now, so Jake Rowell, one of the owners of Rowell Smith Racing, a couple of his drivers here, Ryan Ducombe in the 7 and Joby Sagiped in the 3, they are moving up, so they're in 5th and 6th positions right now.
Yeah, and making the boss man proud this evening. You know, as the boss man, you definitely love seeing the clean racetrack into your windshield. But you know, when you got your crew chief talking to you about where your drivers are on track, it just kind of gives you that big smile throughout the entire cockpit there.
Going back a little ways, Greg Joyner, our points leader, up here fighting 10th place, trying to get into 9th by passing Danny Dow here on the inside, but just back here kind of marred up in traffic. But his main competition, Zachary Taylor, already out of the race in 33rd.
Yeah, Sean, and you know, like you said, got a few cars out here at this point. You got Chris Massey that was out as a part-timer, Landon Lacey out as a part-timer, but Zachary Taylor out as a points driver. That one definitely hurts. You know, when you're Lacey and you're Massey, you know, you don't really have anything to lose coming into these races. And I'm not certain if they had any fast repairs left, or if maybe they decided to take it to the garage just because you know, they weren't living up to their own expectations or what it may have been. But you know, they're definitely out of the race now. But you know, when you're Zach Taylor, you know, that's 2 bad weeks in a row. You got to shake it off, come back next week at Atlanta, and give it everything that you got. We know he's good at those 1.5-mile tracks.
Now we move back up front. Rhett Tucker in 2nd position, but Daniel Bowler almost gets sideways there.
Yeah, let's take a look back here if we can take a look there with the production truck just to hear the rear tires on Daniel Bowler to see if they light up or if he had gotten tight. It's you know, that turn 4, Sean, we've talked about it all night long. That is the absolute treacherous spot, the most treacherous spot here at Phoenix.
Yeah, I can't get back there to that while we're still going live, so I apologize for that, but he was definitely sideways, and so he is going to get off the gas a little bit more so he doesn't continue to do that and burn up those tires.
Yeah, and sometimes, Sean, it's kind of crazy as a driver. You know, you go through, you get a little loose like that or tight. I couldn't really tell what condition he was fighting there. Sometimes you go through there, and this lap, it's just absolutely terrible. You're screaming onto the mic saying, hey, I need this thing to turn better. But you come around the next time, and all of a sudden, the guy in front of you, as it looks like Rhett gets a little bit loose. He gets loose, and he starts fighting the same condition. You know, it's just kind of amazing how well of a job iRacing has been able to do to mimic these racetracks and these cars.
Well, we got Jake Rowell almost 3 seconds ahead, and now we got lap traffic coming up in front of him. This could get very treacherous for Jake because some of these guys are in the back either may have damage or maybe don't know how to drive this track very well, and so that could bring out some different type of driving.
Yeah, and if you're Jake, you've got to sit here and realize, hey, I've got this almost 3-second lead. You know, a 3-second lead can disappear in a very quick hurry if you're sitting way too long behind some lap traffic. But Jake's got to just kind of watch what these guys are doing, you know, have his spotter, get these guys out of the way, say, hey, you know, leaders coming through. And hopefully these guys show the respect being this far back right now to just kind of move over, let Jake by, and let the faster guys race.
Yeah, and that looks like that's Derek Da Silva in the 5 that he's coming up on right now. And then right in front of Derek, I believe that's Wayne Rayburn in the 12. So Jake's going to make the pass on Derek, and then now he's sandwiched between Wayne Rayburn and Derek Da Silva.
Yeah, and the hood off of that 12 car, you know, definitely don't have to worry about overheating at that point, but the unfortunate part is you definitely don't have to worry about running too awful fast, and Jake's got a decision to make here. He is going to go low. Wayne Rayburn's going to go ahead and give him the spot and let him go on by.
Yeah, really dangerous stuff for a leader to get into lap traffic. But that was well done by both parties, not just Jake with the passing, but also by Derek Da Silva and Wayne Rayburn by kind of letting that happen without making a bad decision there.
Yeah, and I tell you, Sean, just in that very, very short period of time, it let Rhett Tucker gain about a half a second back on Jake Rowell, you know, so it may just have been where Jake had caught the traffic. Maybe he had gone through, had a little clean air, hit a few corners right, but like I said, you think about it, a half a second with just 2 cars. Imagine what it's going to be like when Jake inevitably catches to the tail end of this field, how much it can have an effect on the end of this race.
Well, buddy, I don't really want to jinx this thing here, but this is lap 30 of this run.
I told you, my caution count tonight, I'm going to be right. That's all that there is to it. I don't know how to be wrong, Sean. Never done it before. I might have been mistaken a time or two in my life, but I have never been wrong when it comes to calling cautions, or at least that's what my wife will let me think. How about that?
That works for me, But, man, Rhett Tucker and Daniel Bowler still fighting over this spot. Yeah, there's about a quarter of a second between them, but that's not much here if there's just a little bit of a wiggle, and they're getting into lap traffic as well. And it looks like we got Derek Da Silva coming into the pits, so he's a lap down, but maybe this is where people start kind of thinking, when are we going to start pitting?
Yeah, and that's a great question, Sean. One I was about to ask myself. These guys, I feel like they've got quite a bit left to go in terms of fuel. The lap times have definitely slowed down. Jake Rowell at his fastest ran a 28.342, and that was the first lap of a run. Now those lap times have dropped down to about a 29.817 that he ran last time by. So about a second and a half of fall off here. If you're one of those guys who wants to maybe try a little bit of pit strategy, get into your fuel window, you come in and you pit early, you can make up a lot of time on those tires. And will it be enough to keep you out in front of the leaders if they go through and run a tire run all the way to the end? Who knows? But if you're someone who's in the back right now, you kind of want to see the caution to bunch everything back up, but you start beginning to crunch those numbers and saying, hey, how far can I go on a tank of gas?
Now we got a couple teammates here in 13th, 14th, and 15th. So looks like Brad Davis, one of the newer additions to Rev Racing, sticking it right there with Marshall Stanley, and then Joshua Siegfried right behind them as well. So nice bunching up racing by this Rev Racing team, not getting into each other, but also not giving up any time.
Yeah, and Sean, one thing that I definitely want to take a look at here is I've been watching our live chat here on the live stream for YouTube. I've got two shout outs that I've got to make right now. Number one being to my own mama. Basically let me know that since I was in the booth tonight, she was pulling for Jake in the 54, so she's getting her wish right now. But just had a comment from Miss Brooke Lemke saying, let's go 66, that 66 being Joshua Siegfried. And ladies, we definitely appreciate your fandom here. Spread the word with anybody that you know about these Speed Racing Network races. If you're anything like myself, you love watching an auto race of any way, shape, or form, and when you get here to this midweek slump before you head to NASCAR weekend, this definitely can help fill the gap a bit.
Well, now, just a few minutes ago, we had Daniel Bowler right on the tail of Rhett Tucker, and now he has fallen back, and Dylan Patterson is now catching him. So, Dylan Patterson coming in.
Tip.
Here we go.
Yeah, this is going to basically get ready here, Sean, I feel like, to force everybody's hand. I'm wondering if Patterson's going to take his fast repair that we said he had in the bank a little bit ago. We'll have to catch back up with him here in a bit. But if you're Jake Rowell right now, you got a 3.5 second lead. You're kind of watching everyone behind you. Patterson was quick, but what does that strategy therein lie? And I feel like he's going to be watching everybody else behind him just to see when they pit. If you got someone like Rhett Tucker who's right behind you, about 3.5 seconds, I think right now if you're Jake, you got to watch him and you got to watch Daniel Bowler just to see when they duck on.
Such a big risk here because that puts Dylan Patterson a lap and a half down basically, and so really, really risky for him to be the first one to come in. But if this works out for him, then he is going to gain a lot of time on the track.
Yeah, and the big thing, Sean, like we said, you look at it about a second and a half to, at this point, I'd say probably you're dealing with close to 2 seconds worth of tire fall off. Just looking at Jake's last few laps, he's actually been running very, very consistent, 29.8s almost every single lap. So he's still at about that second and a half of fall off. If you're Dylan Patterson and you go back out there, you're a lap and a half behind. Kind of think of that as about 45 seconds. So it's going to take you close to 30 laps to be able to go through. If everything stays green, if you run the same pace, everything, it's going to take you quite a bit to get back up to Jake. But, like I said, it could very well play out for him if this goes green all the way to the end.
Well, just to see the comparison here, just keep an eye on Patterson and Rowell. Patterson all the way back in 27th now, but on fresh tires, just made up 0.7 of a second, 3/4 of a second on the race leader. And let's see what happens as they come around to the start-finish this time around.
Yeah, and I'm watching Patterson. He's caught in a little bit of a lap traffic here, so he's not running as fast as what he could. This time by at the line, he ran a 28.862, so he ran pretty well identical to what Jake's running, but if he can get into some clean air, he can start ticking off some lap times very, very quickly.
Yeah, that he gained a second on Jake Rowell on lap 91, so definitely huge gains there, but you also just lost a lap and a half. You just lost 45 seconds on the track.
Yeah, and I tell you what, if we look at Patterson down in 3 and 4, he is running the bonus grip, as I call it. The last 2 laps, he's caught lap traffic down there in 3 and 4, and he's had all 4 tires below that yellow line down there. And if you're on new tires and someone else is on older tires, we're going to see him probably pull the same move here on Jovi Sagiped. Let's watch him go down here into turn number 3. He's going to kind of drift in high. No, he's going to just stick it to the outside and drive around with all that extra grip. He's going to get 3 cars here. Daniel Bowdler in right there, Sean, and I think if you're Jake Rowell, you're sitting here kind of looking at it, and it's got to force you to pit road soon because you've seen your closest competitors come down, and this race has finally started to take a bit of a green look to it, so you got to make sure that you're not making those mistakes on pit road. You've led this whole race. You don't want to speed. You don't want to spin. You want to make sure that you hit that box perfectly here.
And Jake coming up on one of his drivers, that is Dustin Scruggs in the 11. And so should be pretty easy to get through him, of course, if they're on the same page. And it looks like Jake's going to go deep down to the inside, and Dustin's just going to kind of let him go.
Yeah, and looking at it, Sean, Jake is being outrun by about a second of a lap here over Dylan Patterson. And, these laps continue to tick by. What's going to happen is if this goes green to the end, Jake is going to have to come here soon, because if he doesn't, he's going to put himself in too much of a hole to really let those new tires dig him out. You could get lucky and have the caution at the end, but he's got a strategy that he's on right now, and he's just going to let it try his best to play into his favor, I believe.
While that's going on out there in the chat, J.R. Vichair, I'm killing your name. I apologize for that, but he is saying, let's go number 39, Stanimus Prime. And so this is Stan Hausman back here. Now Stan
Jake
is
pit road.
Oh, here we go. So that means that Rhett Tucker is going to take the lead, but Stan Hausman for Team SRN here in 15th position right now. So still up in the top half of the field.
Yeah, awesome run for him this evening, Sean. A run that's definitely been needed as he begins to hit pit road. Jake's going to hit pit road. It looked like I saw Ryan Ducom and Jovi Sagiped back behind him beginning to hit pit road as well. So kind of a coordinated SRN effort here, or a RSR effort. You see the right side go up on Jake's car. They move around to the left side, going to go ahead and take 4 tires and fuel enough to get you to the end as he burns off of pit road here and attempts to go back out, and we'll find out where he blends in with the rest of the field.
Yeah, Rhett Tucker coming down into pit road, Marshall Stanley, Joshua Siegfried, they're coming down as well. But Nick Gowan out here going to get some bonus points by just leading a lap. And then Greg Joyner, our points leader, who has not pitted yet, but he is back here in second now.
Yeah, and Sean, just like I was telling you here, I figured it was going to play a little bit into Patterson's favor for a couple laps. He actually came out in front of Jake Rowell, kind of looking at the distance between the two right now. Looks to be about 2 seconds, or a second or two between the two. Oh, and he's going to get into the back of the 11 car, and this is just not good. That's going to let Jake just eat back into him here. But if you're Jake, you've led all night, you have got to be patient here, Sean, just because you know what you've got in these newer tires. You're going to chase these guys down. It's not a matter of if, it's when. You just have to be patient right now. As he comes up on the back of Patterson, we're going to see them both go down the dog leg here. They may be 3 wide when they get over to turn 3. Let's see what happens.
Yeah, 2 very aggressive drivers here side by side. So they were both taking about the same line through that dog leg. But Jake Rowell on those fresher tires is going to get the advantage.
And if you're Dylan Patterson, you kind of hope your hope right there was that Jake was going to stay out a lot longer. You'd be able to build yourself up a much larger lead. Hopefully wind up seeing a caution towards the end that allowed you to have the lead and be able to control it. But Sean, we've gone a lot of green flag laps this evening. I don't think anybody thought that we had it in us, but we've had these green flag laps tonight. We're 2/3 of the way through this race, so anything can still happen though.
Yeah, this is starting to become the race that everybody expected this, or that everybody wanted this to be. Not expected, but wanted this to be. And it's really turned into a lot of fun to watch this. But Jake Rowell getting onto the tail of Kevin Winker, who still has not pitted either. Gregory Joyner, our leader currently, and our points leader coming down pit road. That'll give the lead to Devin Zimmerman.
Yeah, and if you're Zimmerman right now, I think your play right now, one way or the other, is you want to stay out here as long as you possibly can before you pit. You are hoping for a caution more than anything right now. You've only got a few laps before Jake Rowell is going to catch you, because there's about a 7-second gap between them. And with Jake outrunning him by 1.5 seconds, it won't take long. But if you're Zimmerman here, you're just hoping to get you a couple bonus points, maybe run another 2 or 3 laps, and just hope you see that yellow that puts you in front of the field.
Yeah, one of Zimmerman's teammates not showing up on the board right now. Mike Lepicki not here tonight, and then Zachary Taylor already out of the race. Derek Da Silva back in 30th. Emerson Ardon back in 22nd. So Devin really trying to hold the banner here, trying to get that team a few points that they desperately need.
Yeah, and Sean, I tell you, I wish we could get the camera view right now, but right now I would love to go on board with Jake Rowell, because he has Devin Zimmerman right in his sights, and you can just see that car out in front of him. You see it there right on the left side of your screen. Watch when he comes off of turn number 2, how big this car starts getting. You see Zimmerman down there on the apron, and that car just gets a little bigger, a little bigger, a little bigger, and here in about 2 or 3 laps, it's going to be about as big as it's going to get when Jake gets up on that back bumper. Just look at that little speck. Oh, Zimmerman's coming to pit.
Yeah,
so
he's coming to the pits.
That'll make it get a lot bigger quicker, won't it?
It sure will. Now, Jake Rowell retakes the lead here on lap 106. And so this is really shaking things up a lot, and it looks like we're going to have 25 drivers on the lead lap when we get everything back going again.
Yeah, Sean, looks like here Jake's going to have him a pretty sizable lead. I remember a few years ago Kyle Busch led flag to flag here in a number 54 car. And even though Jake isn't going to lead flag to flag tonight, he had a few laps in there that some guys had stayed out. He's trying to do his best KFB impersonation tonight.
Well, man, take a look at Rowell Smith Racing. We got 6th place, 7th place, 9th place, 10th place. So Rowell Smith Racing back there in 3rd in the points are really wanting to make their name known.
Yeah, Sean, it's definitely awesome when you go through, you have the boss man out front. You just went through a name change from H2K to RSR. You still got the same team intact, but, you can't help but wonder if Jake didn't wind up working with these guys a little bit this week just to say, hey, this is how I'm running the thing, and they've kind of translated it. I tell you what, Sean, it's going to get a little dicey up front. Jake's getting ready to get into some lap traffic here. He's got 2 cars too wide in front of him, and this is where you have to be at your most careful at this point of the race.
Yeah, that's Daniel Keith Jr. in the 23 and Derek Da Silva in the 5. And Jake passed Derek Da Silva a little bit earlier, and it wasn't an issue. Derek Da Silva is he's one of those really great drivers, great guy is what he is, and so he's just going to kind of let him right past. Doesn't want to cause any trouble there. So Jake out front by 6 seconds now.
I tell you what, Sean, let's go here on a Through the Field sponsored by Silverback Tax Solutions. Up front, you've got Jake Rowell in 1st. In 2nd, Dylan Patterson 6 seconds behind, up from 12th to 2nd. Then you have Rhett Tucker in 3rd in that 81 truck. Daniel Ballard been quietly consistent there in the top 5 in 4th this evening. Jovi Sagiped from RSR running in 5th. His teammate Ryan Ducombe right behind him in 6th. Kevin Winker up from 32nd to 7th currently right now, but I believe he still has a pit stop to make in that 42 car. Right behind him, Josh Marcy in the 35. Nick Gowan there in the 9th place. Marshall Stanley in my old 25 car, Sean, he's running in 10th. Got Gregory Joyner in 11th. Cole Martin coming in 12th. Brad Davis having a very good run this evening in 13th. Danny Dow we saw up a little bit earlier in the front in 14th. Nathaniel Mon coming in 15th. Michael Amenti here. Michael Amenti looks like he just hit pit road. I'm sorry there. Aaron Gerwitz is now going to take over the 16th spot. Then it's going to go to Bo Tiffany in 17th. Greg Olenek there in 18th. Michael Amenti now, like I said, on pit road. Last time by, he flashed by at 19th. Joshua Siegfried in 20th. Emerson Ard on the last car on the lead lap in 21st.
And then it just keeps going back further. Daniel Keefe just getting passed by Jake Rowell there. So, and Devin Zimmerman, again, had the lead there for a little while. Has the freshest tires on the track, basically. But he's over a lap down, and that is how much time difference there is on a short track, you going into the pits under green.
Yeah, and here's the crazy thing, Sean. You know, we look at this track. You and I consider this thing a short track, and I mean, it drives like a short track. There's a lot of brakes, a lot of turning, a lot of throttle control that takes place. You're going to see the difference in tires right here. Is it looks like that number 11 car of Dustin Scruggs may come back by the boss man here to take a lap back, but you know, it drives like a short track. But you just look here at the speeds as they get down here into turn number 3 and 4. I'm looking right now on the gun. Jake Rowell, as he goes to hit the brakes, tops out at 154 right there before he hits the brakes going into turn 3.
Yeah, this is like a short track that thinks that it's a super speedway. And really, that's how it races, too. I mean, you can really get a lot of good speed. You can actually catch a draft at this short track, and that's just, you don't get that at Bristol. You don't get that at Martinsville.
No, with Bristol and Martinsville, they are just so darn technical of tracks here, Sean. And the owners of Phoenix International Raceway have done a wonderful job over the years. This track has been through so many configurations, from its original configuration in the 80s with the bridge down here in turns 3 and 4, very similar to what Dover has today, to the one that we ran through the 2000s with grass on the backstretch. And then I think it was about 08 or 09 they reconfigured the track again, wound up going down here, pulling all the grass off the backstretch and creating what's become the dog leg. And, you know, you just see how much shorter of a run it is. Like you said, the quickest distance between 2 points is a straight line, but that doesn't mean, though, Sean, that is necessarily everyone's quickest way. Some guys get up on that banking down the backstretch and can flat out run someone else. You know, it's just a multi-groove track, one of the best ones. And as we saw the Truck Series, the Xfinity Series, and the Real Life NASCAR Cup Series in their seasons here last year, all 3 of those races were just absolutely wonderful to watch to the end.
Which, I mean, how crazy is that a short track ended the season, was the championship race, and you have some short track specialists, and obviously Jake Rowell being one of those, being 5.5 seconds ahead of everybody, but it just doesn't seem like it'd be one of those tracks where you just say, hey, let's decide a championship here.
Yeah, you know, and I think it was kind of one of those things, Sean, that with the sanctioning body, they kind of looked at it, and Homestead had ended the season for close to 20 years, and when you looked back before then, the Atlanta Motor Speedway was typically the final track of the season. Before that, I think what really kind of took the sanctioning body that direction is, you know, the tragedies that we saw in 2001. In terms of the September 11th terror attacks, that pushed the New Hampshire race back, and at that time NASCAR. Ooh, caution on the speedway, Sean! Oh, this changes everything.
Daniel Keith, and he's already jumped it into the pits.
Oh, this is going to change everything here,
yes,
Sean.
Yes, it is.
I'll make my point quick here. You know, Atlanta had been the final race of the season for years and years for the NASCAR Cup Series, and then they finished that season up at New Hampshire and kind of gave them the idea to say, hey, you know, maybe we should try experimenting a little bit with some warm weather, cold weather, and Homestead wound up being that title race for years until Phoenix took it over.
Not really sure what the issue was here with Daniel Keith. He's just super slow on the track, just trying to stay out of everybody's way. He may have blown an engine.
Yeah, I'm not certain if he blew an engine, Sean, or what happened here. Definitely looks like he's got power there in the engine, so looks like maybe he was just trying to get down out of everybody's way, and in the process of doing so, the flagman may have seen him slow on the back stretch and put it out for everybody. That's exactly what it looks like. But we're going to have pit stops, Sean. Jake Rowell's going to hit pit road first there in that 54 car. Looks like right behind him, he's going to have the 81 of Rhett Tucker, Dylan Patterson, Daniel Bowdler, and Jovi Sagiped. Everybody's coming to get their foreign fuel here for a dash to the finish.
Yeah, and if you have not used your fast repair yet, this might be the time to do it if you have any damage at all, so you can get that last little run in. Hopefully this thing stays green once again.
Yeah, and Sean, looking here into the chat, I just got a message. Looks like from Rob Yost, says that he had broken a spring in his pedals, so he has actually retired from the race in that 92 car.
Yeah, it looked like Daniel Bowdler just used his fast repair, so we saw a little bit of that, and it's going to be Jake Rowell getting off of pit road first, but Rhett Tucker there in second right up close, and then Dylan Patterson, who has been excellent on the short runs. Now he's got about a 30-lap run to go here. Let's see if he can make his way up through the pack a little bit more.
Yeah, I tell you what, Sean, I would actually love to get Patterson up in here just to see what's going through his mind right now. Let's see if we can't get him up here into the SRN booth.
All right, let's grab him really quick. Hey, Dylan Patterson, this is Sean and Dean. Who are you? And Dean up here in the booth. How's it going, buddy?
Hey guys, I'm good. Not too sure how that damage I got's affecting me.
Well, Dylan, we saw that damage a little earlier in the race, getting run into the back of there. My question to Sean just a moment ago is, do you still have a fast repair left in the bank here for the end of this race?
Yeah, I got it. I got a feeling that this is gonna probably be a wreck fest with being only 30 to go, get a bunch of short runs. So I kind of want to save it in case I get anything. So,
man, you've had a lot of short run speed this evening here. Looks to be a very good run for that R2D2 Motorsports car. How's the track feeling this evening, and especially on that long green flag run? Did the track loosen up? Did it tighten up? What happened there?
I didn't think it loosened up at all. I thought it felt about the same. I mean, you definitely couldn't send it into the corner as hard, but as far as exit, I don't think the car felt any different. They're pretty under control as far as being able to just mash the throttle coming off. You got to feather it a little, but it's not too bad.
Well, man, we're enjoying watching you on these short runs and just picking up positions left and right. So keep it going, buddy, and good luck the rest of the way.
Yeah, I'll see if I got anything for Jake on the short run here.
All right, buddy. Have a great night.
Sean, that's our third place guy, Dylan Patterson, there in that 8 car. We know now he's got a little bit left in the tank in terms of a fast repair. So with coming down here, going to be about a little under 25 laps to go. Let's see how aggressive that he gets here as the pace car begins to peel off. Jake Rowell, the same spot he's seen all night in first. See how he times this restart. Cold tires are going to be exciting. Pace car pulls off, field in the hands of Jake Rowell, green flag, and he begins to take off here for turn number 1. Good restart by Rhett Tucker to go through and clear that 8 car heading into turn 1.
Yeah, and really a good restart for everybody because there was not a lot of accordioning there. So that's hard to do here on a short track.
Yeah, definitely good job. And I saw actually Daniel Bowdler almost got to the back of Patterson, but gave him the room. And, like you said, everybody kind of unaccordioned behind them as Bowdler begins to look to the inside of Jovi Sagiped. So, Jovi got very loose. Good job on the control there.
Yeah, Jovi, last week's winner, and trying to make it 2 weeks in a row. And when you get side by side with somebody that close, all of a sudden the air comes off the car and that car starts to get really loose.
Tell you what here, let's take a look back up front for this lead position, Sean, because right now your pick for the race, Rhett Tucker, beginning to knock on the door of Jake Rowell. We've seen this a couple times tonight. Jake tends to pull away in the longer run, but maybe Rhett has learned something about these tires here as we get through this race.
Well, and again, that car looks super clean, so maybe he used that fast repair, and maybe that was the moment to do it if he had any damage, because he is not letting Jake get too far away.
No, and you see him run the higher lane right there, and once again, that's kind of that different school of thought. Jake's just pegged to the bottom. Rhett's just all the way to the top, but you see a little bit more momentum that Jake carries off the corner as Rhett kind of slides that right rear tire a little bit, heading for the wall to straighten it up for turn 1.
Well, out there in the chat, Be Smooth, I believe that's Byron McDonald, saying shout out to these guys for putting on a show and keeping it green. Only 8 cautions tonight as opposed to 20 last night at this same time. So great job out there for these drivers tonight.
All I'm saying, Sean, you had your co-broadcaster tonight call 9 cautions, so that's all I'm saying right now.
Yeah, I think I said something like 16, right?
Yeah, something to that degree. So
all I got to say is the race ain't over yet, Dean.
No, I think, though, at this point, I would love to talk to you. I've got some beachfront property here in Phoenix that you might be interested in.
I got that country song stuck in my head, the oceanfront property in Arizona.
Yeah. Hey. Well, Sean, the good part is I love being up here in the booth for Speed Racing Network. I'd like to thank you here for inviting me up the last several weeks. It's, we've gotten to see some awesome battles here, and one looks to be shaping up between Jake Rowell and Rhett Tucker. But, man, I appreciate you having me up in here.
Man, absolutely enjoy having you up here. Enjoy having all of our broadcasters here at Speed Racing Network. Really a phenomenal team here. And so definitely always love being in the booth with you, whether it's interviewing you or being up here calling the race. But Rhett Tucker wants to be interviewed as the winner here, and he is putting the pressure on Jake Rowell now.
He has not let that 54 car get away from him here, Sean. He had a couple corners where I was like, that car didn't look that great, but man, he knows it is go time right now, and he doesn't know if this thing's going to go green to the end. He doesn't know if there's going to be any more cautions. All he knows is at this point in time, he doesn't get to bring those Goodyear Eagles back with him, so he's going to get everything that he can out of them.
And again, here's something that's on the line right now for Jake Rowell. Jake currently has 5 wins in Speed Racing Network history. If he gets a win tonight, that would put him at 6, which would tie him for the overall lead historically with Daniel Bodler.
Well, man, I tell you what here, Sean, that's an awesome list to be on. I know I've been fortunate enough to go through and win a few races here. I believe, 3, 4?
No,
4 here.
You're tied with 5 as well, actually. So you've had 5 wins in Speed Racing Network history, and so the problem is that you're not on the track right now, and so Jake has a chance to increase his total while you have to wait until Sunday.
Well, I tell you what, just for my overall pride, it doesn't so much bother me here to watch the team owner go out here and lead these laps, especially just how good he looks doing it. I know right now that car just it looks like it's a little tail happy right now on the brakes getting into the corners. So, don't know if Jake needs to back those corners up a little bit, drive them in a little harder. But just going into turn 1, it just almost looks like that tail end just tries to step out on him just a hair. But now he begins to kind of pull away from Rhett Tucker.
And I apologize, my historians are in my ear right now, so I apologize. Daniel Bodler has 5, Jake Rowell, Dean Brummett, and Bobby Brill each have 4, so apologize for that.
I was sitting there doing the math in my head trying to figure out where I won a race that I just couldn't remember where I had won at, so at least I know I haven't gone completely crazy yet, Sean.
Well, Jake Rowell starting to break away just a little bit, up to 0.4 of a second here over Tucker, but they have opened up a 2-second gap on Dylan Patterson in 3rd place. So this might be a 2-car race unless we get a little bit of action going somewhere else.
Yeah, and Sean, I'll tell you right now, the battle on the track is 4-4, Ryan Ducombe and Daniel Bowdler. Ducombe just got past Bowdler, and looks like Jovi Sagiped actually going to his outside as well. So very similar to what we've seen this evening. Bowdler definitely has some short run speed, but kind of like last night, I don't know if you recall, Sean, Bowdler was able to use the outside about 5 or 6 laps into a run to really begin to roll some momentum. So, that's another thing that these guys have to, Bowdler got loose, but this is something here that these guys definitely have to watch for, knowing what's coming here at the end if there is a caution, to kind of pick and choose your lines to maybe make that run to the front.
Yeah, so Bowdler will drop down to 6th position But here in this race where he's actually able to gain points, that is awesome for him. And so I'm not saying that he's going to stop pushing, because Daniel Ballard will never stop pushing, but a top 10 right now would really help him in his chase for the playoffs.
Yeah, Sean, right now being that 6th position, you got 2 things you're fighting for. You're fighting for the points and you're fighting for the dough, buddy. As Ballard gets a little looser there on the corner entry, he's going to fight back to the outside of Gregory Joyner, but Joyner's going to shoot down this dog leg here as soon as we get to the backstretch. Just look at how these cars begin to fan out. We're going to see if Joyner has what he needs to hold this going into turn 3. As Ballard, Ballard's up on the outside, whether he got stuck there or whether he began to see a little bit as to what Jovi had used against him is yet to be determined, though.
Yeah, and again, Greg Joyner, our points leader, only by 1 point over Zachary Taylor, but Zachary Taylor ends the race in 33rd position after getting crushed on lap 40, basically. And so he is out of the race, while out here, Greg Joyner is gaining points left and right.
And you feel terrible for Zachary Taylor. He wanted to go out here and compete this evening, but as a driver, sometimes, Sean, you'd much rather get wrecked out early than to go through, have yourself a good run, and get junked out late in the race.
Well, it looks like Rhett Tucker shot his shot, and now he is dropping back. So Rhett is about 1.3 seconds behind Jake Rowell. Dylan Patterson another 2 seconds behind him. So looks like Jake Rowell starting to run away with this thing with 11 laps to go.
Yeah, Sean, but the big thing that Jake's sitting there looking at here is, he saw what type of a battle Rhett was able to go through and give him. Yes, he's pulling away now, and, you got to put yourself in that mindset to say, hey, I'm coming to 10 laps to go. Let's just keep the foot to the floor, drive this thing as hard as we can. But if a caution comes out late, it makes you wonder, what does Rhett have for him?
Well, and then, especially when you talk about the older tires and that sort of thing, then you're going to have some people probably from 15th place on back coming into the pits. Do they have enough time to make up time on the track? There's all sorts of storylines if we get a yellow, but if we stay green here, then I don't see anybody touching Jake Rowell.
No, not at all. It's going to take Jake making a massive mistake, locking up some brakes, some type of a mechanical failure, something to keep him out of this win here as he's just pulling away into this desert sunset. Right now we got another battle, though. Cole Martin underneath of Daniel Ballard looking to be for the 8th position. You can throw a bunch of those cars under a blanket right there, Sean.
Yeah, Daniel Ballard continues his move backwards in this race. Not really sure what's going on there, if maybe he's just trying to get that good solid finish and doesn't want to make a mistake, but he has dropped from, I think he restarted in 4th. He's dropped all the way back to 8th, and now he's under pressure to fall back to 9th.
Yeah, and Sean, the big thing that I'm showing right now, like I said, Cole Martin being a Bronco-affiliated truck, not running for the team championship, but he's in 9th. Gregory Joyner for Bronco is in 7th. Nick Goen is in 6th, and Rhett Tucker is in 2nd. So a great day for these Bronco cars.
Yeah, they are definitely going to extend that lead over Tank Racing, who Tank Racing's best finisher right now, if the race would end right now, would be 17th position. So Bronco has all 4 of their point-winning drivers, if it ended right now, ahead of all 4 of Tank Racing's drivers.
Yeah, and just, awesome job here by those guys tonight. Awesome job by everybody, let's be real here, to go through and get the type of positions that you have. I tell you what, I actually just saw something a little interesting, Sean, that could be some speed, and depends on how these guys report it with Jake Rowell up front. It looks like he is getting down into turn number 3 and in turn number 1. He is actually downshifting that car from 4th to 3rd to get himself a little bigger run. Let's go on board with him and listen to the RPMs on this car as he works through this lap traffic. So you're going to see that tachometer push, and then boom, he's going to downshift into 4th, and listen when he gets down in here. So Jake Rowell, definitely a road course specialist, and kind of running this track like a road course a little bit right now, Sean.
Yep, 3rd gear, then jumping up into the 4th gear, going through the dog leg. And then as he goes into this corner, he's going to brake, and then
caution on the speedway,
no.
Sean.
Oh, that's not what we wanted to see.
No, not at all. And as the cliche goes, this changes everything. Looks like Nathaniel Mon has gotten spun around in some way, shape, or form here, Sean.
Let's go to a Sandwich Man wreck replay and take a look. I believe this is caution number 9 on the night, so I'm not sure who could have guessed that.
Hey, like I said, sometimes you're lucky, sometimes you're good, and when it comes to racing, I'd rather be lucky than good any day. Looks like Devin Zimmerman looks underneath here of Nicholas Mon or Nathaniel Mon. I'm sorry, Nathaniel, but just, that same trouble spot there this evening. Just, at that point, nobody's lifting. Nobody's going to let anybody have any spots, and sometimes you just kind of have to take it there. And just 2 cars vying for the same spot, and, unfortunately, that's what happens. Now, Sean, we're going to pit road here. Jake Rowell is coming down to the pits, and it's going to be interesting to see if anybody decides to take the strategy to stay out. It looks like actually quite a few cars stayed out here.
Well, we are going to have a green-white checkered finish. And so this, interesting call by Jake Rowell. Rhett Tucker is going to run with what he's got, while Jake maybe just gets right sides here. I don't think he wants to lose too many positions.
I think at this point, Sean, you kind of made your bed. That was a call of everybody's going to do the opposite of what the leader does. Jake pulls a few cars down with him, but unfortunately, it looks like that he may have just pitted away the win in this race. But at the same time, Sean, I mean, you're in a vulnerable position right there. Everybody's going to do the exact opposite of what you do. If you come in and pit, they're gonna stay out. If you stay out, they're gonna come in and pit. So for Jake Rowell, just an unfortunate situation. But like I said, a late yellow going to change everything here.
Yeah, and it really had nothing to do with fuel, because everybody got tires and fuel back on lap 120, so that wasn't the reason for it. I think he just thought that more people would follow him, and now he is going to restart in 16th position, and man, he has got a lot of talented drivers in front of him that are going to do everything they can to make it difficult for him to get up there.
Sean, here's going to be the big thing with it that's going to be interesting to see. If Jake... So we're going to have 3 attempts at a green-white checker. What that basically means is the leaders are going to come around. They're going to take the green flag. They're going to go around a lap, take the white flag, and then they will take the checkered flag behind that. If there is a caution before they get back to that white flag, it will go through and allow for another attempt at a green-white checker. If I'm Jake Rowell, what I'm hoping probably more than anything here is that on this first green-white checker, I'm going to drive down into this corner as hard as I can into turn 3. Hopefully slide up and make 3 or 4 spots, and hope for another caution flag right before the leaders take the white, just to give them a couple more opportunities. But I don't know, Sean. There may be some cautions breeding cautions here. You're going to have Jake a good second and a half faster on new tires trying to drive through the field. But right now, your pick up front in Rhett Tucker in that 81 car, but he's going to have Dylan Patterson to his outside, and even though the boss man's a little further in the back, Ryan Ducom and Jovi Sagiped have a good chance to try and win it for RSR there sitting in the second row.
Yeah, and so we are going to have a green-white checker. This is the first of 3 attempts. And so now, if we get a quick caution here, then that really allows Jake to have a little bit more advantage, because if he can just get 4 or 5 spots before that caution comes out, then that puts him in a position to get 4 or 5 more when the green-white checker comes out for the second time. So could have been a strategy move. I'm not sure it's going to work out for him, but he's still got a shot at this thing. But Rhett Tucker has control, and he takes off, gets a great jump.
He does, and Ryan Ducom's going to have a chance to stick that 7 car in second. Dylan Patterson's going to run way to the outside here. He's going to get a good run off of turn number 2, but Rhett Tucker, the man who decided to stay out, he is going to make his way down into turn number 3.
Yellow flag. Bo Tiffany.
Man, I almost had my 9 call tonight. Man, I was close.
This will be caution number 10. And let's go to another wreck replay and find out what happened to Bo Tiffany. Again, just a bunch of cars all together coming up into that corner where there's still a wall on the inside. So a really tight turn here. And it's Devin Zimmerman again. So Devin Zimmerman and Greg Olenek, I believe, got into each other there. We'll go back and check that out again.
Yeah, let's look here. Looks like Olenek.
Yeah,
it looks like Zimmerman driving. Looks like he gets down in here. We're going to take a look at this because, you know, this has been what looks to be a little bit of a trouble spot this evening. You know, Jake's going to actually go to the inside, and, you know, just with all that speed, Zimmerman can't cut down on him, but he's too late to turn into the corner. Just gets into the left rear of Greg Olenek, and in the process of doing so, spins just a little bit into the outside wall. Cars go scattering everywhere, and Sean, don't look now, but just on that one lap, that almost one lap that we ran, Jake Rowell made 5 spots up.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I was saying is, you know, if you can just get 4 or 5 spots per restart, that puts you up in the top 5 again really quickly. And so you just never know. But looks like Devin Zimmerman's going to be in the pits getting some damage fixed up there after that wreck. But Rhett Tucker, man, what a jump he got there. If he gets another one of those, I don't care if you're Jake Rowell or Dale Earnhardt himself, I don't think you're going to catch Rhett Tucker.
Yeah, and I tell you what, man, you know, that was definitely a good restart. And when you've got the field in your control, you know, especially late like this, you know, you feel 10 feet tall and bulletproof. And, you know, especially when you get a jump to where nobody can get to your inside, nobody can get to your outside, you drive it as hard as you can. It's just a good feeling, man. And right now I'm just kind of sitting here looking into, you know, what's going to unfold in these final potential 2 laps or final 4 laps, depending if we get another green-white checker. And I just think right now, your pick, man, Rhett Tucker, unless Jake Rowell can get the restart of a lifetime and pick off about 4 or 5 cars by the time they get to the backstretch. If they stay green and he picks off about 4 or 5 cars down the backstretch, if I'm Rhett Tucker looking in my mirror, that's a scary-looking car coming behind me. But right now, man, he is in the catbird seat if I've ever seen him.
Well, and I truly don't believe that there's any team orders or anything like that here, but 3 of the cars that are in front of Jake Rowell are his team members. Ryan Ducombe in 3rd, Jovi Sagipet in 4th, Josh Marcy in 9th. I don't believe it's going to be one of those things where, hey, move over, the captain's here, but at the same time, they don't want to get involved in a wreck with the team owner. That would be a bad move.
No, for sure. You know, and there's definitely no team orders for anything like this. You know, I think you look back, you see if you're Josh Marcy back there in 9th, you see the team owner behind you. You're definitely going to be a little more willing possibly to give him that spot, knowing how much faster he is. You know, we saw earlier with Greg Olenek, you know, trying to hold off the field when he was out there on older tires. You see what type of a speed difference it is, but Sean, we're going to strap in again. We're going to pull those belts tight one more time as the pace car works its way down the back stretch, and Rhett Tucker's going to have this field at tow one more time.
Yep, 2nd of 3 green-white checker attempts as the pace car will dive off. And we're going to get the overhead view here to see how good of a restart Rhett Tucker can get. Dylan Patterson kind of creeping up there on the outside, trying to time it.
We're going to see what happens here, Sean. Green flag in the air. Patterson got a little bit better of a restart. I think Ryan Ducombe's going to get to his inside again as they head for turn number 1, but Rhett Tucker's just going to get a big jump out on the field as they work their way. Oh, Jake Rowell looks like he's into the wall there in turn number 1 and 2. But these guys are going to work down the backstretch. We got one car, looks like he's going around, and we're going to have one more green-white checker, Sean.
Yep, Joshua Siegfried is the one that is around for Rev Racing back here. So we're going to take a look and see what happened here with another Sandwich Man Racing and Sports Memorabilia Rec Replay. And again, just this huge bunch of cars back here towards the back of the pack. And as you get into that turn, if one person checks up, it is tough. And up there on the top of the track, you can see cars getting into the wall and everything. There's just not enough room for it. So I don't think I can call that on Joshua Siegfried there. I just think there's just not enough room on the track in that particular turn.
Yep, and Sean, at this point of the race, I mean, you're basically mentally prepared for running 2 laps. You're running qualifying times at this point in time. There is no lifting. There is no given room. You know, he's just an unfortunate victim, and you know, when he goes around like that, you know, you got to call the caution flag because you got the smoke. You don't know if he's going to wind up coming back off that wall. You just never know what happens. And Sean, last night we saw the race unfortunately end under caution. Hopefully tonight we can at least get this green-white checker. And man, I tell you what, I think, you know, I think looking into the running order right now, he's got about the best chance. But Jake Rowell is going to be restarting on the outside, and that's going to give him that opportunity to take him possibly 3 or even 4 wide off of turn number 2. So it's going to be interesting to see how many spots he could potentially make up. I can't tell if he got damage off that or not.
Yeah, I'm not sure he got damage. He definitely got up into the wall, but he's going to be restarting 10th. And so, I mean, on a green-white checkered, I don't see him making up 10 spots, especially with the restarts that Rhett Tucker is getting right now.
Yeah, and I tell you what, right now, Sean, I think the 2 guys that are going to be set up in a very, very good position. I think Rhett Tucker, you know, it's going to be hard to get past him, man. He's going to have to make a heck of a mistake in 2 laps. Right now, you got Ryan Ducombe and Jovi Sagyaped each on the inside lane, the preferred lane here on a restart, as we've got the 2 to green here to go. And those 2 guys may wind up on the podium for RSR in their first outing under that team branding this evening.
Yeah, I mean, and as dumb as it sounds to some people, rebranding a team really does give you a fresh perspective on the race. It gives you a new lease on life, really, and we saw that last season with Bronco Motorsports when they rebranded from Wild Bill Motorsports into Bronco. They immediately started moving up the ladder, and that's the same thing here with H2K. They were already good, but they didn't have 3 in the top in the top 10. Actually, take that back. Last week they actually went 1, 2, 3. But you know, this is I really think this is a change of pace for them that's just making them even more confident.
Yeah, I completely agree, Sean. And you know, like I said, you get a lot of information from the veterans, from the guys up top, and you know, sometimes with that, I feel like you mentioned in terms of the rebranding. You know, every driver has their little secrets to every track that they may not share with everyone just because they say, hey, this is my week to win. They may not go out there and share everything, but sometimes with a rebranding like that and new ownership, so to speak, kind of changes the entire attitude of an entire workforce and has them go out and begin to maybe do things a little differently. But right now, Sean, we've got the pace car, the lights are off, we're 2 by 2 by 2, the whole field deep. Started the race 2 by 2. We're going to end it with a 2-lap shootout here.
Yeah, this will be our final attempt at a green-white checkered finish. And so last night we ended under yellow. We're hoping not to end up under yellow again here tonight. But hey, if that's what has to happen, that's what has to happen, because everybody has to go to sleep at some point.
Everybody knows the rules here, Sean, and right now that pace car is going to pull off here. Rhett Tucker gets on the gas early, and he is gone right now. Ryan Ducombe going to poke his nose to the inside of that 8 car of Dylan Patterson as they head for turn number 1.
Yeah, looking back towards the back of the pack, looks like everybody okay so far. But as we come around this turn, this is where all the trouble normally happens, getting into this dog leg. Rhett Tucker pulling away a little bit, so if we can get to the white flag here, we might be able to get a finish.
They're going to run him as hard as they can there, Sean. He's going to lead the field down for the white flag. Dylan Patterson almost up in the wall. Ryan Ducombe. Oh, caution just came out, Sean, I believe. Oh, big wreck in the back of the field. Oh, my goodness.
Oh, and there is the Phoenix parking lot. And that will, you know, I'm not sure.
Yeah, caution came out right before. Yeah, the yellow lights were on right before they wound up hitting the start-finish line there. So, unfortunately, they won't get to race back to the line. But Rhett Tucker here, 2 nights in a row, Bronco Motorsports is going to wind up coming home with the win.
Yeah, and this happened about mid-pack here. Josh Marcy, one of the ones involved. Let's see it from what happened with him. Probably happened in front of him. Yeah, it did. That's Brad Davis getting into Danny Dow. And then everybody starts spinning. Oh, it's carnage.
Yeah, and honestly, with something like that, Sean, you know, you hate to see the race end under caution, but right there, you're kind of glad to see the yellow, because had the yellow not flown there, you're going to have some guys completely parked. And when Rhett Tucker gets back around, he may have to navigate traffic, and you just don't want to see a guy have to lose a race based off of coming to the checkered flag, having to dodge cars sitting left and right. But with his first win here this evening, your pick, you got it right, Sean. Rhett Tucker in that 81 for Bronco Motorsports.
And here he goes. He is going to burn this place to the ground. I mean, really deserving win for Rhett Tucker. He finally breaks through and gets his first win here at Speed Racing Network.
And it looks like a team celebration going on here between himself and the 85 of Gregory Joyner, who came home on the podium as well. They're going to burn those cars to the ground together, and just sheer disappointment this evening for a few drivers. Jake Rowell has just got to be gutted after something like that, but so is the nature of a late caution at somewhere like Phoenix, Sean.
Yeah, and they are just having a great time out there. You can see all of Bronco Motorsports spinning it out, and they deserve every bit of that because they will likely gain a lot more points on that team championship, just grasping onto that a little bit more.
Yeah, Sean, and like I said, when you get to go through and you have one of your guys win and the whole team gets to celebrate, man, it's just, it makes it well past worth it as we get ready to take a look here at our final results from Phoenix. You got Rhett Tucker coming home in first, Ryan Ducombe in second for Rowell Smith Racing, and Gregory Joyner there in third for Bronco. Dylan Patterson got a very good run for R2D2 Motorsports this evening. Joby Sagyaped rounding out the top five for RSR. Jake Rowell, our most dominant car this evening, an independent coming home in sixth. Daniel Bowdler in seventh for R&D Motorsports. Aaron Gerwitz in eighth for Tank Racing. Emerson Ardon, very good run this evening here for Tank Racing. He's needed a good run the last few weeks, comes home ninth. And Greg Olenek finally gets himself a top 10 here this evening, Sean, for Rev'd.
Yeah, Josh Marcy from Rowell Smith Racing up in 11th. Nathaniel Mon from Bronco Motorsports in 12th. Another Bronco Motorsport member, Brad Williams, in 13th. Mike Lamenti in 14th for R2D2. Dustin Scruggs for Rowell Smith Racing in 15th. Devin Zimmerman brings it home in 16th for Tank Racing. Marshall Stanley for Rev Racing comes in 17th. Nick Gowen for Bronco Motorsports in 18th. Troy Teichmeyer in 19th for Rowell Smith Racing, and then rounding out top 20, Jamie Plurd from R2D2 Motorsports. So, man, and this race went a lot faster than we thought it would based off of what happened last night. So, really great driving out there for pretty much everybody. Had some cautions, absolutely. You're going to have that on a short track, but overall, really great job for all the drivers.
Yeah, and Sean, I tell you what here, the one driver I definitely want to get up here and speak with is our bottom of the podium finisher in third place, Gregory Joyner from Bronco Motorsports.
Yep, let's get our points leader up here because really with what he did here tonight, he is going to set himself apart from the rest of the pack. Greg Joyner, Sean, and Dean up in the booth, buddy. How's it going?
Man, I'm pretty excited. I'm kind of mad that the caution came out because I feel like I could have pulled off a P2. So, but great run for Bronco tonight. Pretty awesome.
Man, not just for Bronco, but for you yourself as well, because the guy that you're fighting the battle for first place in points ended up in 33rd, had to drop out of the race really early. So you're going to gain some serious points in the individual, and then Bronco, of course, distancing themselves from everybody else in the team.
Yeah, man, that's awesome.
Now, Greg, tonight, the track itself, we got to see you be pretty consistent this evening. The track looked like that as the run went on, it didn't really fade in terms of the handling too bad. So good job there this evening. Anybody that you'd like to thank?
Yeah, first off, I'd like to thank Bronco Motorsports for giving me the opportunity. Shoney's and Sandwich Man Racing Sports Memorabilia, y'all be sure to check them out. And also Chevrolet for putting that power up under the hood.
Man, it was a fun race to watch, and we were definitely keeping an eye on you, especially because of the points and everything. But tell us about what the team aspect is as you're driving around, and of course you've got all five of your guys in the top 20. What was the team chat like?
It's a lot of pit strategy, especially when that caution came out, and I think Jake Rowell decided to pit. It was like, what do we do? Do we go behind him? Do we do the opposite of him? And I know Nick Gowen decided to pit, and nobody took behind him, so that kind of messed up his night. But yeah, there's a lot of strategy going on. We practice all throughout the week and everything, so we're very team oriented. But I love it. I think we got a pretty good shot at the team championship this year.
Well, man, what a great drive by you and your team. Congratulations on that. And we're going to let you get back to them and let you get back to celebrating. But keep up the good work, and we will see you next week.
Thank you, sir. Thanks for what I'll do.
All right, we're going to drop him back down into his team chat. We'll be back down there to that team chat in just a second, but we're going to see if we can get Ryan Ducombe up here from Rowell Smith Racing. Bring him up into the booth.
Ryan Ducombe, this is Dean Brummett, your new RSR teammate, and Sean Griffith up here in the Speed Racing Network booth. Congrats on the P2 finish this evening, buddy. How's it feel?
Feels pretty good. What a race. I was actually thought we were going to get more green flag run there for a while, but ended up with cautions at the end, but wish we could have raced it out.
Yeah, man. Unfortunately, the nature of the beast sometimes here at Phoenix, I know the boss man led the vast majority of the race here this evening, and, just you got to feel gutted for him. But at the same time, such a level of pride here seeing yourself and Jovi back there in fifth to go through and get some points in that team championship. What was it like this evening for 150 laps here out in the desert?
I thought the car felt great. I thought it was going to be a lot looser. It actually felt really good the whole race. I felt like if it just stayed green longer, I would have had more of a chance. And to go back to Jake, I felt, really bad. He was the only one that pitted there, which I was actually kind of shocked that he did pit. But unfortunately, we couldn't be in the same Discord with him because all 5 of Rowell Xfinity was there. So we really couldn't, talk about it.
Well, man, tell us about the transition between H2K Motorsports and Rowell Smith Racing. We were talking about it before we got to the finish line there. Does that kind of just give you a breath of fresh air and just kind of give you a fresh start?
I think this is a great opportunity to join Jake and Dean and the other guys over at Rowell Smith Racing. They just really, have a knack for racing, and they put in the time and effort, and I think that we can learn a bunch, and I just think it's only going to be better. You just get better from here.
Well, man, great work tonight. Do you have anybody that you'd like to thank before we let you get back to your team?
Yeah, I just want to first thank Jake, for giving us this opportunity with Rowell Smith Racing. I want to thank my teammates. I want to thank all you guys, what you do up in the booth, and Jason and Adam. You guys do a great job every week, and just wish we could have had more green flags at the end there.
Well, man, great work tonight, and we will just see what happens next week as we invade Atlanta.
Should be a good time, guys. Have a good night. Thanks.
All right, take care. All right, well, let's head right back down to Bronco Motorsports, who they are just putting a firm grip on this team championship as they took the lead this week, and now all of a sudden they find themselves distancing away from everyone else. But I got to tell you, Rhett Tucker, Sean, and Dean up in the booth, there's somebody in this booth that picked you. I'm not going to tell you who, but it was not Dean Brummett.
That sounds like a smart individual.
It is a smart individual, and not only that, he is going to be a team captain in the All-Star race where he is going to whip Tripp. So, anyway.
Let's get it.
Man, congratulations on a great race tonight. Tell us about what was going through your mind as Jake Rowell peels off to go into the pits. What were you thinking at that point?
Dude, I've been there. I've done that. I've won like that. I've lost like that. Basically, my stance on that is the field's going to do the opposite of whatever you do as the leader. I think the lesson I learned is you got to stay out because, if you keep getting green, white checkers like this, you might have a shot at winning. But especially with a field this big, it's just tough to come through. And Jake, that was my only shot, dude. I was running Jake down, but until that last pit stop, he started walking away from me again. I had nothing for him.
Well, man, sometimes you win it just on raw speed. Sometimes you win it on a little bit of strategy, and that was actually something that the top of the show that myself and Sean were talking about in terms of this race may not so much come down to fuel strategy, but come down to late race strategy. There, I mean, Rhett, I've just got to know if Jake stays out on the track there. Do you try to lead the rest of the field down to pit, or was it just kind of a absolutely we're staying on track no matter what type strategy?
Dude, I didn't know until I drove by pit road. I mean, like, I just go with the gut, man. And at first I thought everybody behind me came in, and I was freaking out. And then I realized that only a couple cars came in, and I was like, hell yeah, let's get it now.
Well, Rhett, Phoenix so far between last night and tonight has served as 2 first-time winners between your Truck Series teammate Cole Martin and now yourself this evening here for Bronco Motorsports. Anybody that you'd like to thank this evening?
Yeah, man. Everybody at Bronco, Chris Massey for, I don't know, having faith in me, letting me drive one of their cars. You guys for doing a badass broadcast every week, and Shoney's, Sandwich Man Racing Memorabilia. Everybody for racing me clean, man. We did a turn 3 and 4 3 wide. That was sick. Like, I'm glad we all made it through, and I could grab a checkered.
Oh, man, congratulations tonight. Can't wait to see what you do, not just this week at Phoenix in the Cup Series, but also next week when we invade Atlanta for the Hot Atlanta 150.
Let's get it.
All right, buddy. Well, have a great night. We will see you on Sunday.
Thank you, guys.
All right, Dean. Man, not really the race I thought that we would see, with the exception of me picking the winner, but not really. I didn't see that being as green as it went.
You know, Sean, I had a lot of faith. I told you from the top of the night that I had a lot of faith in these Xfinity Series drivers, you know, a little more experience under their belts to make it to this level. And, you know, just really, really entertaining to watch them, you know, come out here and put on a show like this. And, you know, I think if you're any of the Cup guys watching this broadcast tonight, you took a lot out of this, you know, in terms of, you know, once again, I'm gutted for my teammate Jake Rowell, but I know he is going to be very, very fast Sunday night. And, you know, now you've got that other dynamic to look for of, man, if it gets to be a late race caution, do you take track position or do you take tires? And I think we had our question answered for us here this evening.
Yes, we did. Now, we'll see all of these drivers back next week as we go to Atlanta Motor Speedway, as we get back into the 1.5 mile tracks, which, you know, I call them the racers' tracks.
You know, when it comes to these 1.5 mile tracks, Sean, it's definitely an interesting type of a race. You know, these trucks, the Xfinity cars, the Cup Series cars, they all handle so differently at these 1.5 mile tracks. And, you know, we're going to get to see these guys do a battle next week in the Hot Atlanta 150 from Atlanta Motor Speedway here on Speed Racing Network next Thursday night at 9 Central or 10 Eastern. And Sunday night, Sean, I get to go to war here. 200 laps at Phoenix Raceway, man. I tell you, it's really, really cool to look at that number because, I mean, man, I'm going 2/3 of the distance of what the actual Cup cars go.
Yeah, it is going to be an insane race. And you know, we always, when we started putting these schedules together, we wanted it to be 200 miles for the Cup Series. And when we put this thing together, we thought, how bad could it possibly be? And so we're going to find out if the Cup Series is really as good as they say they are, because they have no fast repairs at Phoenix when they're going 3 wide through 3 and 4.
Yep, don't want to make it a parking lot for sure, Sean. And I think Sunday you're going to see a lot of differing strategies. I think it's a darn near going to be almost like a plate race. You're going to have a lot of guys that want to get out front and stay out front. You're going to have some guys who want to kind of hang out in the rear. And I think maybe Sunday, Sean, I mean, we've seen 2 first-time winners in their respective divisions the last 2 nights. Last week we had a first-time winner in the Truck Series and Jamie Plurd. So, man, it's the first-time winner bell is ringing very, very high right now. So it's going to be interesting to see Sunday night.
Oh, man, it was a great race tonight. Thank you so much for being here to broadcast with me, and thank all the viewers out there for everything you do and for everyone here at Speed Racing Network. We appreciate all of you. We enjoy doing what we do, and we always say at the very, very end to always go faster. And